Book your next trip at southwest.com. And by Acura Advance. Sunday afternoon baseball. How about a sausage for lunch? Here at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, Orioles closing out this 7-game homestand today, and another big crowd on hand as the Orioles take on the Boston Red Sox. Southwest Airlines starting lineup for Boston, coming in just a half game out of first place in the East. Jacoby Ellsbury, Dustin Pedroia, and Victor Martinez up top, with Kevin Youkilis in that cleanup spot back at first base, batting .419 on the year against the Orioles. Ortiz with Brew and right, Lowell back at third, Reddick the rookie in left field, and Jed Lowry at shortstop.
Now let's take a look at the PNC scouting report for Jason Birkin. He throws a couple of fastballs, 2-seam, 4-seam, curveball, slider, and a changeup. He has improved his downhill angle going back to his last start against Kansas City. He had a pretty good downhill angle. Actually left that ball game after 6 innings with the lead, and he certainly needs to have a W. He hasn't won since his major league debut. That was 8 losses ago, and he needs to bounce back. But one thing about Jason Birkin, he's not going to shy away from anything. He's just going to have to make better quality pitches. This Red Sox lineup right now is red hot. Take a look at the defense behind Birkin. PHPA gets another start in left field. Jones and Marquez center and right. Robert Andino's in the shortstop position. Cesar Astures fouled the ball off his foot last night. Probably needed a day off anyway. Roberts is his double play partner. Ty Wigginton starts at third base. We'll get into that a little bit as the game unfolds. Aubrey Huff, Greg Zahn round out the lineup.
So we're set for baseball here on this Sunday afternoon. And there are the weather conditions. 78 degrees. It is mostly cloudy. Winds northwest at 5 miles an hour. It remains very, very humid. But fortunately, the heavy rains of this morning at the moment are gone. And we have an on-time start here at Camden Yards. Here is Jacoby Ellsbury leading off. He has been red hot at the plate. And in this series, he is 5 out of 10. And a good idea to keep this guy off base. Birkin deals, and it's over but low, 1-0. Jason Birkin, 25 years old. He's out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. And he has earned everything that he has achieved in his professional career. A 6th-round draft pick in 2006. He's in his 4th pro season. And let's not forget, he was the pitcher that is currently on the staff that was not even Buck in the Major League spring training. He was in the minor league camp.
Yeah, he was a little disappointed that he was not invited to spring training. He had a good year last year in the minor leagues, but he got over it. He went down, did his work, got off to a decent start, and when the time was appropriate, he was called to the big leagues.
2-1 on Ellsbury. It's down and away, ball 3. 69 games of minor league experience for Birkin, and he won 25 of those games. And the way that it has worked out, the way Andy McPhail has brought these prospects up. Here's the 3-1. It's outside and a leadoff walk. The prospects are learning at this level against the best there is. And we asked the pitching coach, Rich Kranick, if this is a big part of the future, will they benefit from being here now?
I can see them growing, and that's the big thing. You see them growing and getting better. You know, Birkin's had a little bit of a rough time as far as a 1-loss record, but you know what? He hasn't backed down. You know, he's gone after every single hitter, and he has battled his way through it, and that's all you can ask. You know, things will turn around for him.
So Rick Kranick's talking about the young pitching, in particular Birkin. And the one benefit of being here, Buck, as Pedroia takes a strike, is they are gaining a very valuable reference point of what it takes to succeed and what they need to improve on.
Yeah, not only by watching their own pitchers on their team, by watching the opponents and checking out how Josh Beckett pitches, watching John Smoltz. Just the exposure to major league pitchers and how they handle big league hitters is always vastly important for these young pitchers.
Line drive, that'll fall, base hit left field. PA in on it quickly, and Ellsbury will stop at second. So Pedroia extends his hitting streak to 3 in a row. He's now hitting 20 of his last 23.
Well, one thing that's going to have to happen if the Orioles are going to stay in this game, they have to eliminate the base on balls. They had 8 last night. That was a season high, and this gave the Red Sox too many opportunities to hit with runners in scoring position.
So Birkin in a first inning jam, and here is one of the newest of the Red Sox, Victor Martinez, acquired at the trade deadline on Friday. He traveled here from Cleveland and participated in the game last night, his Red Sox debut, and went 1 out of 5 with an RBI. 30 years old, out of Venezuela. switch hitter up there from the left side against Birkin. And it's high, 1-0.
Now, this is always a challenge for a pitcher. I don't care how inexperienced you are. Even the greats struggle in the first inning as they try to command their pitches and get into the strike zone. But when you have a hitter as accomplished as Martinez, it's a real challenge, and you've got to make good pitches.
Orioles hoping for a ground ball to turn 2. And Martinez takes a strike at the knees. Martinez a career high 25 home runs in 2007. Whereas the Red Sox like the fact, Buck, that he is a guy that puts the ball in play, line drive hitter that has power, and he's a switch hitter. And he can play first base, and he can catch. And he's a pretty good guy in the clubhouse. Birkin checks Ellsbury. Down and in, 2-1.
Yeah, the Red Sox surprisingly are 9th in the American League in batting on the road. And Victor Martinez will help boost that batting average. Just gives them more depth, more options. Terry Francona is going to be challenged as to how he's going to utilize him. Said he will play some first, said he will catch some, and occasionally DH as a right-handed hitter.
Birkin in a spot, 2-1 with none down. And it's low ball 3. So a leadoff walk and a single, now 3-1 on Victor Martinez.
Well, one thing Victor Martinez doesn't have to do in this lineup is carry the offense. There are hitters all around you. So you don't have to swing at borderline pitches, even though you have the count in your favor. You can really keyhole and look for something to drive. In Cleveland, he was almost a one-man band. Travis Hafner, who had been his offensive partner the last year and a half or so, has really been struggling. So Martinez was the guy they focused on. So you would expect the on-base percentage and the slugging percentage to go up when they put him in the third spot in this potent lineup.
Well, with a guy who has some power, the numbers that jump out at you, Buck, are the walks and the strikeouts. He has struck out 52 times this year, but he has walked 51. So a very good batting eye, and he usually swings at good pitches. 3-1 the count, 2 on, none down. And a line drive to right field. Markakis in on it, makes the sliding grab. He got it just in time. Takes a base hit away from Victor Martinez and 1 down, and a big out for Birkin.
Well, it's a great reaction by Markakis. This is the ball that can be trouble for an outfielder. The ball hit right at you. You're not sure if it's going to stay in the air long enough to make the catch. And for the second time this week, we've seen Markakis make a very similar catch that takes a base hit away from an opposing hitter.
Oh, here's Kevin Youkilis. It just goes from bad to worse. Youkilis in the series, Buck, has just torn up Oriole pitching.
Well, he sure has. He's hitting 4 straight games against the Orioles, home runs in those games, and he got a breaking ball last night, and he has just worn out the Orioles, as has Jacoby Ellsbury. Look at the two averages, 478, 522 at Camden Yards this year.
So 2 on with 1 down now, and Youkilis takes outside, 1-0.
And if you're wondering what the Orioles are doing wrong against Kevin Youkilis, he's hitting 421 against the American League East. So he's worn out all of the tough teams in the East. He's hitting 419 against the Orioles for the season.
Birkin paying attention to Ellsbury out there. Breaking ball just misses, 2-0. Hunter Wendelstedt has the plate today. He's a 10-year veteran. There's Ellsbury at second base. 48 stolen bases, tied for most in the American League, and behind him Pedroia at first is not held by Aubrey Huff. And Birkin continues to fall behind these batters. There's a strike. 2-1 on Kevin Youkilis.
Now, Kevin Youkilis has a very unusual batting stance. Look where his hand is, top of the hand grip, how he slides it to the bottom hand and just gets ready for the pitch.
Two-1 is lined to left field. That's a base hit. DeMarlo Hale will hold Ellsbury as PA got to it quickly. So Youkilis extends his hitting streak to 4 straight, and Boston with a huge rally going now. Bases loaded and only 1 down. Birkin has a lot of work to do, and a dangerous and hot hitter coming to the plate in David Ortiz.
Well, Ortiz has done a lot of damage against the Orioles recently. A 3-run home run in Boston got them going in the first inning last weekend, and a 2-run home run here in the opener of this series in the 3rd inning.
There are the runners, Ellsbury, Pedroia, and Youkilis at first base, with David Ortiz at the plate. Fastball is high, 1-0. The Orioles are employing the shift with David Ortiz up. And Dino, the shortstop, is on the second base side, and Brian Roberts shading towards the hole, although on the infield dirt, because the Orioles would love to get a ground ball to turn two. Foul back the other way, 1-1.
Well, they had a similar situation against Ortiz last night in the 6th inning with a chance to turn two. Ball hit right to Brian Roberts, and Brian bobbled it a bit and allowed Ortiz to beat it out. They got the fielder's choice lead runner at second, but that kept the inning alive. They would eventually get a double after Ortiz, as Jason Bay delivered a double and drove in a run.
Ball and a strike on Ortiz, who's hitting 3 straight games. And he takes inside ball 2. And what these young pitchers are learning at this level, Buck, is the patience of the major league hitters and the ability to recognize a pitch that is not a strike and just take it for a ball.
Now, the Red Sox have seen Berken one other starts. They have a little bit of information on him.
2-1 is popped up. And Dino's calling back on the outfield grass. PA charging in, and PA has it for the out. 2 men down. David Ortiz missed a big opportunity.
A good play by PA to call off the infielders because they were struggling with the sun. And take a look at the sequence of pitches. High with the fastball, falls behind. Then Ortiz pops one up, 1-1. Breaking ball just inside, pops up another changeup, 81 miles an hour, and PA takes charge and then comes in on the infield. A frustrating at bat for David Ortiz as Berken wins that matchup.
Ortiz upset with himself. He does have 6 sac flies on the year, so 6 times on the season with a runner at third. He's been able to get a fly ball. Not so here as he pops it up. J.D. Drew takes high, 1-0. Drew's first appearance in this series, and he brings a 7-game hitting streak into the game.
Yeah, he's been hampered by a slight groin strain. First start of the series, and always a dangerous hitter.
Now Berken an out away from getting out of it. Check swing, it's outside, ball 2.
Now that's the challenge you have working to this Red Sox lineup. They are experienced hitters, and they don't panic in these situations with the bases loaded. They're patient enough to make you throw a good pitch.
This is a huge pitch for Berken, 2-0 with 2 down and the bases loaded. Swing and a miss. Well, it came right at him. And Drew swings through it. Berken is averaging in the big leagues just under 5 strikeouts per game, but he's also allowing 3 walks per game. He has allowed 3 base runners here in the first inning. 2-1 pitch fouled off. Of course, Boston, one of the best in the league, buckets, scoring early.
Now, in the first 2 innings, they've outscored their opponents by 55 runs. That's the biggest number in baseball. And then you send a good starter to the mound, he can protect that early lead. But Berken got a chance to get out of this bases loaded situation and turn around the momentum here in the first.
2 balls and 2 strikes on J.D. Drew. Berken checking Ellsbury. Line drive towards the gap. That's a base hit. That's going to get down and go all the way to the wall. Ellsbury scores. Pedroia scores. Youkilis coming right behind him. And J.D. Drew with a huge 2-out base hit. A bases clearing double and a 3-0 Boston lead.
Hitting with 2 strikes, sitting on a breaking ball, and you can see it's just out over the plate. This kind of spins away from Drew, and he's able to extend and drive it to the gap in right center. Goes all the way to the wall. Ellsbury scores right behind him. Pedroia and Youkilis all the way from first base.
So he got the 2nd out, but he couldn't get the 3rd, and Boston strikes early yet again. As J.D. Drew extends a hitting streak to 8 straight games, he now has 43 RBIs on the year with that 22nd double. And here's Mike Lowell, the 7th batter to come up in the first inning. And again, Berken falls behind, 1-0. Mike Lowell, since coming off the disabled list, has hit in 10 consecutive games. Pulled deep but foul. 1-1 on Lowell. Whereas Terry Francona has a huge advantage with his lineup because of the versatility of Kevin Youkilis. If they need to sit Lowell down, Youkilis goes over and plays third. If Lowell's in the lineup, Youkilis plays first base. So Lowell is coming back from injury and getting on in his career, does not have to play day in and day out because of what Youkilis can do for this team. There's a bloop to left field. PA in on it. Not going to get it. That falls for a base hit. PA's throw towards the plate is not in time. It gets by Zahn. Birkin backing up, and Lowell's going to get to second base.
Boy, Zahn did everything he could trying to block Drew off home plate, but couldn't come up with the throw. PA made a pretty strong throw. Lowell picks up another RBI, his 51st of the year. Another breaking ball. It just stays inside. That's why Lowell's able to serve it into left field. Pretty strong throw. Look at Zahn extend that left leg trying to trip up J.D. Drew, but the ball skipped past him.
So here is Josh Reddick, the 8th batter in this lineup. And there's a strike, so that'll be a single, an RBI, and an error on the throw, allowing Lowell to go to second base. Reddick, a 22-year-old rookie playing in his 3rd game. Lowell at second with 2 down. Well, a tough start for Jason Birkin. It all began, Buck, with that leadoff walk.
Yeah, and that has been a problem lately. 8 walks in the game last night. When you're working to such an experienced lineup, you're just creating too many problems for yourself.
Good breaking ball there. 1-2. Reddick was called up from Double-A for this series. It was thought just for a game until the newly acquired players arrived, but the Sox kept him on the roster. That's lined off the glove of Aubrey Huff, and he's got it. He caught the rebound before it fell. So the hardest hit ball of the inning caught by Huff. Big inning for the Sox. O's come to bat down by 4. In the leadoff spot, 5-game hitting streak now, 318 during the streak, with a couple of doubles and 6 runs scored. P.A. Jones and Markakis with Huff batting 5th. Wigginton, Scott, Zahn, and Andino rounding it out for the Orioles.
Now it's time for the PNC scouting report. Fastball, curveball, slider, and a changeup. He's got great upside. Obviously, there's been talk about Clay Buchholz for the last several years. One of the most sought-after Red Sox prospects at the trade deadline. And he's another one of these homegrown pitchers. They have done a marvelous job of drafting, developing, and promoting their own pitchers from within. And Clay Buchholz is just the last of a long list of very effective pitchers that the Red Sox have developed.
24 years old, out of Lumberton, Texas. Now in his third season. And here's Brian Roberts. Orioles need base runners to try to chip back in it. And there's a strike. And for some reason, J.D. Drew's day is already over. Bases loaded, double for 3 RBIs. There's Rocco Baldelli, who comes out to play defensively for the Red Sox in Drew's spot in right field.
Well, Drew's had the leg problem that has kept him from playing the last 2 days, and it might be something related to that. That's what you would expect.
The Red Sox are going with a 6-man bullpen and a 5-man bench. So they have the extra player on the bench, and Baldelli already into this game in the second inning. 1-1 to Roberts, too tight, and it's 2-1. You know, you're talking about the effectiveness of the starting pitching, in particular developed by the Red Sox, and you contend when your starters give you a chance to contend, and Boston has 46 wins from its starting rotation. The 2-1 pitch outside, ball 3. 46 of the 61, and those 46 wins, Buck, is the most of any starting staff in the American League.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want. You want your starters to get to decisions, and that means they're pitching late into the game. They keep you close, and then the bullpen will come in and save it.
And that's exactly what Terry Francona did not want. A 4-0 lead. Brian Roberts draws a leadoff walk.
Now take a look at the defense behind Clay Buchholz. Reddick, Ellsbury, and Baldelli in the outfield. There is some serious coverage in the outfield today. Lowry and Pedroia up the middle, low, and Youkilis at the corners. And Victor Martinez makes his Red Sox debut behind the plate, handling Clay Buchholz.
Well, here is Felix Pie getting a start in left field today, giving Nolan Reimold the day off.
Now Reimold's pretty beaten up. He's got a sore knee, sore Achilles, fouled off a couple balls off his ankle. So day game, and you got to get PA in the game from time to time.
Strike 1 to Felix Pie. There's Nolan Reimold on the bench. 1 out of 8 in the series. The one hit a home run. Reimold has had a solid start to the second half of the season. Brian Roberts held at first by Youkilis. Brian has 20 steals, unlikely to be running in this spot, down by 4 in the first inning. Pie late on the swing, and it's 0-2. Boston's had all kinds of troubles this year gunning down potential base stealers. They've only caught 15%. Victor Martinez is hoping to help in that department, although that is not regarded as one of his strengths.
They've allowed 103 steals, most in the American League.
PA down to the count, no balls and 2 strikes. And looks it over outside. Good eye there, 1-2.
You know, that's an interesting discussion to talk about the impact of stolen bases. Obviously, it hasn't been that much of a drag against the Red Sox. They're only half a game back. But that's a perennial argument about how valuable is a stolen base or the risk of losing a base runner. I think the presence of a base stealer at first base is equally valuable in that it's a distraction to the pitcher.
As we see here.
We saw that with Ellsbury at first base the other night when Youkilis hit a 2-run home run. And the pitcher was really concerned about Ellsbury stealing. You just take your focus away from the batter that much and make a mistake, end up costing you 2 instead of a stolen base.
1-2 on PA. Roberts dancing off first base. Buchholz doesn't bite. PA ground ball to short, should be 2. To second 1. Pedroia back to first. There's 2, and that eliminates the leadoff walk. Lowry, Pedroia to Youkilis, 2 men down. 3
double plays in the last 4 innings of last night's game. Every time the Orioles got something going, 2 runners on in each of the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning, and then a double play. And again, another double play. Taylor made Brian Roberts bouncing off first base. Buchholz maintains his focus and makes a good pitch to PA. Lowry, Pedroia to Youkilis.
So Buchholz eliminates the base runner. Here is Adam Jones batting. 2 outs and the base is empty. And he takes a strike in the outside corner. The Orioles haven't scored in this series since the 6th inning on Friday night. That was when Aubrey Huff hit the 2-run home run to give the Orioles at the time a 5-4 lead. Last night shut out by the combination of Josh Beckett, Okajima, and Bard, and today it's Clay Buchholz.
Highest major league average in day games. Ichiro Suzuki over 450. Adam Jones is second ahead of Joey Votto of the Reds, and I think it just reflects Adam's personality. He's got a lot of energy, he likes to get out, run around the ballpark. I think he plays very well in the daytime just because he's kind of an upbeat personality. Young guy, a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, destined to be the leader of this club.
And as each day goes by, that becomes more and more obvious.
Yeah.
1-2 the count. Buchholz ahead. Check swing and a breaking ball, and it's low. Adam just turned 24. But Buchholz 24. Nice view in from center field over the bullpens. Sun is now out. 2-2 on Adam Jones. Buchholz deals, and it's low again. Ball 3. Buchholz has had an interesting season. It's only his 4th start for the Red Sox. Right before the season began, he was optioned to the minor leagues, and he stayed there until July the 17th. He was called up, made a start in Toronto that day. Right after the game, he was sent right back. But then, July the 22nd, he was called up, and he's been here ever since. So this is his 3rd start since coming back. What looks like a permanent promotion. Fastball is just outside. Either Adam was fooled by that pitch or he got a call because he did not offer. So 2 walks in the inning and a 2-out base runner keeps it going.
Now take a look at this 3-2 pitch from Clay Buchholz. It was down. It was the outside the mass and pitch tracks. Looked like a changeup. He tried to get Jones to chase away, and he wouldn't go for it.
Before the game today, manager Dave Tremblay in his meeting with the media said what he would like to see is a big 2-out base hit to get some runs in. Well, here's an opportunity to get back in the game, but it will take a 2-out base hit. And it's hit towards Lowry. He gloves, and the flip to Pedroia just in time to get the hustling Jones, and the inning ends. 2 walks, 1 left. We'll head to the second at Oriole Park at a 4-0 Boston lead. American Classics scratch-off tickets from the Maryland Lottery for every Oriole home run hit in the game today. You can have a chance to win. Just enter by logging on to massensports.com.
Jason Varitek in the dugout talking with Casey Kochman, one of the new Red Sox, and you can see Varitek's talking about Jason Birkin and what he sees, and Varitek's always working. He's not in the game, getting to know his new teammate a little bit on the bench, and something about these good teams that the veterans are always trying to bring everybody into the fold.
Here's Jed Lowry, the number 9 batter, the only batter not to come up in the first inning. Switch hitting shortstop. He's made it back from wrist surgery. And he takes a strike, 1-1. Jason Birkin, a tough first inning, nearly got out of it, but then Drew with 2 down drove in 3 with a double, and Lowell followed with a single. And his problems of falling behind batters in the first inning has continued here in the second.
This is the most tentative I have seen Jason Birkin throw his pitches. It looks like he's trying to guide it to make perfect pitches, and you can see the Orioles starters have been roughed up a bit in this homestand. ERA closing in on 5.
Good swing, and he fouled it back 2-2.
In Jason's previous starts, I didn't notice anything other than just cutting the ball loose. His location might not have been great, but he was still throwing the ball with conviction. It looked to me like early in that first inning, he was trying to guide the ball to find the corners.
2-2 on Lowry. High fly ball, right center field. Markakis and Jones. And Jones calls off Markakis, has it for the out. At 1 down. Well, this is a yearbook of building pitching, and the Orioles are doing it with youth.
Well, they sure are. And you look at the years of age, the average age of the starting staff. The Oakland A's lead the pack at 23 years and 44 days. Then the Orioles, 25 years, 27 years old. Florida's got a little more experienced young starting staff. And then Mariners, their average just went down with the departure of Jared Washburn. But the A's and the Orioles certainly have a good, deep, young rotation, and you just hope it develops. And you can talk all you want to about promise, but at some point they're going to have to start to deliver.
Right.
I don't expect them to win 4 or 5 in a row this year, but certainly you want to see them grow, as Rick Kranitz talked about in reference to Jason Birkin.
Well, this staff will get younger on Tuesday because that's when Brad Bergeson's turn comes up. And that likely turn will be taken by Brian Mattis, who is 22 years old and is pitching in his first professional season after signing late last year after he was the Orioles' first-round pick. But he is absolutely dominating Double-A. He pitched 1 inning last night and was lifted as the Bay Sox played at New Britain. There's a base hit to left field for Ellsbury, just slapped it the other way, so he's been on twice. And a 1-out single for Boston. Well, the Orioles are back home at Camden Yards Monday, August 10th. They'll begin a 7-game homestand against the A's and the Angels. On Tuesday, August 11th, you can celebrate Brad Bergeson and his great start to his major league career. It'll be Brad Bergeson T-shirt Tuesday. First 10,000 fans, 15 and over at the game against the A's at 7:05. Receive the Brad Bergeson Orioles T-shirt. For tickets, call the Orioles 888-848-BIRD or visit Orioles.com. And that will certainly be one Oriole fans will want to add to their collection. Pedroia takes a strike.
Well, you just have to hope that Jacoby Ellsbury is going to get tired. This is the 8th time he's been on base in this series. It just seems as though if it's not a walk, it's a hit, like he's seeing the ball so well. Patient, swinging the bat with great confidence, and boy, has he blossomed into a budding superstar.
Check swing, he went too far. After Wendelstedt calls a strike, so it's 0-2 off Pedroia. Birkin coming off a no decision on Tuesday against Kansas City, a game in which he left with a 3-2 lead. Jim Johnson allowed a game-tying home run in the 8th, and then the Royals won the game 4-3 in 11. So another example of Birkin pitching better at times than his overall numbers indicate. Although today has been hit around by Boston. He has allowed 3 runs or less in 5 of the starts since his win on May 26th in his major league debut. And in those games, Buck, 0-3 with 2 no decisions despite 3 earned runs or less. Breaking ball low, Zahn, nice block.
Well, good job by Zahn as he blocked the ball and had his body angled so the ball off his chest protector stays right at home plate. Even if you block a ball, if you don't have the proper angle, look how he got the top half of his body over at the waist and smothered that ball with his chest protector to make sure that Ellsbury could advance to scoring position.
Ellsbury 48 steals. He and Carl Crawford are going at it for the American League lead. 1-2 off Pedroia. Runner goes, slice to right field. Markakis is over, and he can't get it. Plays it on a hop. Pedroia thinking 2, settles for 1 as Ellsbury gets to third. So here comes Boston again, first and third, 1 down. 2-for-2 day for Pedroia, who absolutely wears down the Orioles.
Well, he sure does. And that time with 2 strikes, it's the outside fastball with Ellsbury running. Ellsbury has to make sure the ball is safely on the ground, and then he turns and goes to third base. But this top of the order, I don't know if you could have a better 1-2 punch than Ellsbury and Pedroia. The way Ellsbury can run and the way Pedroia doesn't strike out and puts the ball in play. Victor Martinez has to be thinking he's died and gone to heaven. Every time he looks up, there's 2 or 3 guys on base.
Well, Birkin has allowed an average, Buck, of 15 base runners for every 9 innings he's worked, and that number has to get better to gain more consistency. Just too many men on, which leads to potential runs. Ball 1 inside.
Well, especially against a real patient team like the Red Sox or the Yankees, or a more veteran team like the Angels, where they make you throw a lot of strikes. They're taking full advantage of these opportunities with runners on base and making sure they get a pitch to hit, just like J.D. Drew with that 2-strike 3-run double in the first with 2 outs.
One-0 pitch, hard hit ball, base hit right field. Pulled past Aubrey Huff. Pedroia will stop at second as Ellsbury scores. And Boston adding on. It's now 5-0 Red Sox.
Second RBI for Victor Martinez since he's joined the Red Sox, and just a solid single into right. First and third, gets that pitch up out over the zone and hooks it past Huff into right field.
So 4 in the first, 1 here in the second. There's Brian Bass now getting loose in the second inning. And here's Kevin Youkilis again. 2 on and 1 out. Good breaking ball, swung through it. Good call there by Greg Zahn. Get him off the fastball. Youkilis looking fastball and had a weak swing. Kevin Youkilis now 30 years old in his 6th season.
Pretty good pitch. Didn't get the call right there. Zahn set up inside. Birkin delivered that 2-seam fastball and just sailed off the inside corner. This is the most difficult challenge for a catcher. Trying to figure out where to go when a pitcher doesn't have great command and you've got a red-hot team like the Red Sox.
1-1 is too tight. Ball 2.
You just normally know, okay, he can command his breaking ball, get the changeup over whenever he wants, use the fastball to both sides, but when he's struggling to do that, literally it's just a coin toss.
So 50 pitches already, and he still only has 1 down in the second inning. And continuing education at this level in this division. Close pitch. Youkilis got the call. And 3-1 the count. Pedroia at second, Martinez at first, and 1 down. Youkilis already has a single in this game, his 100th base hit on the year. Another good pitch. So the 2 weak swings, Buck, it looked like Youkilis each time was looking for a different pitch and just waved at it.
Yeah, he was sitting on fastball. There's no question about it. See how far out in front he is. He started his swing about halfway, recognized it was a breaking ball.
3-2 on him. And it's outside ball 4, and once again the bases are loaded. But Boston already has 7 hits, and here's Dave Tremblay. And that's going to do it for Jason Birkin. He will go just an inning and a third. So a very tough start, disappointing start for Jason Birkin, and Brian Bass will come on. He'll inherit bases loaded, 1 down, and a 5-0 Red Sox lead. Just an inning and a third, 5 earned runs on 7 hits. He walked 2, and the bases are loaded. All 3 men on base, his responsibility. So a tough outing for the rookie.
Brian Bass will come on for the first time since Monday against Kansas City. In the Kansas City game, he came on in the 4th inning with 1 out, pitched 3 very good innings, allowing 4 hits and no runs. And he did a great job holding the Royals in check, keeping the ball game close. He came in relief of Rich Hill, who left after 2 1/3. So he'll be asked to get a couple of innings, maybe 3 here against the Red Sox, and kind of keep this game right where it is.
Pedroia, Martinez, and Youkilis third to first, and David Ortiz to greet Brian Bass. Ortiz popped up to shallow left his first at bat with the bases loaded. So twice in this game he has come up with the bases full. Ball 1. "5-0 Boston," and threatening for more in the 2nd inning. 2-tight ball 2. The Orioles team ERA has actually been improving. They're at 4.88. It's still much too high to be competitive and consistently competitive, but it has been improving. So today, one of those days where it's getting away. Ball 3. Long day already for the manager. 3-0 on Ortiz, and nowhere to put him. There's a strike. 3-1.
Now, I can relate with what Dave Trumbull's going through right now, because you just sit in that dugout in such a helpless feeling when all you're trying to do is get some outs and nobody can seem to do it. And you look at the prospects of Ortiz hitting with the bases loaded. A helpless feeling.
With 3-1 the count on him. And it's outside, ball 4. That forces in a run. So on it goes for Boston. And it's now 6-0. And that gets the manager off the bench. So you bring in the reliever to try to put out the fire, and the first batter he faces falls behind 3-1 and eventually walks him. Here's Rocco Baldelli batting for a first time. He's in J.D. Drew's spot. Drew left with a tight left groin after a bases loaded double to drive in 3 in the first. And that's high, 1-0. But Brian Bass has come on, Buck, and he does not have command.
No, he sure doesn't. He's going to have to get it quickly, or else it's really going to turn into a rout early here. You got to get at least a ground ball here. Give yourself a chance to get a double play.
Not even close. 2-0. Here's the 2-0, and there's a strike. Baldelli takes all the way. Well, the Red Sox 4 out of 7 with runners in scoring position. Orioles did not have a chance in the first inning. Popped up, playable for Huff, battling the sun. Infield fly rule has been called, and Huff has it straddling the line, and 2 men down as Baldelli pops up. So Bass gets a big out. As you look at the big crowd here at Oriole Park at Camden Yards today, last night it was 49,384, the 4th largest crowd in Camden Yards history. And another big crowd today, although it looks like it's short of a sellout. Now here's Lowell. Ball 1. Looked like a pretty good pitch.
Now, Mike Lowell had an RBI in his first at bat. Got a breaking ball. He pulled down the left field line and drove in J.D. Drew. As consistent as he is, it's tough to take his bat out of the lineup as well.
There's a strike. Well, now 35 years old. There are 5 players in the Red Sox lineup today, the starting 9, drafted and developed by the Sox. Here's the 1-1, swung on a miss, throw to third, and Wigginton did not break to the bag.
Good thing he was watching. Thought he had put on a pickoff play. Wigginton was expected to break. Watch Ty. And it's a good thing he didn't drop his head after that was a called ball. That ball would have been into left field. A little miscommunication there.
1-2 on Lowell. And he got him. Chased the slider down and away, and the inning ends. But Boston adds 2 and Strads 3. We'll head to the bottom of the second at a 6-0 Red Sox lead.
I cannot control whatever he put in there, But the only thing I can control is just respect me, please. Just respect me. For the way I've been playing for 9 years here in the Orioles, I need respect. That's it.
I'm disappointed that he feels that way, but that's really nothing for me to comment on because I'm not going to get into that. It's like I said, Melvin's been a very good player for a long time, but we don't show disrespect towards anybody.
Clearly the move might be an indicator the Orioles are looking toward the future. Melvin Mora's contract is up at the end of this year. Ty Wigginton still has another year. He signed through 2010, and the Orioles might just be looking to get a look at Wigginton at third base next year. Jim?
All right, Amber, thank you very much. So a delicate situation for the organization because you have Melvin Mora, who is the longest tenured Oriole on this team. He was acquired in 2000, and he's been here ever since, wants to play, and apparently does not like the way he is not playing.
Yeah, and he talked about it then at length during that interview with Amber, and he talked about the lineup. He said, if you want to play another guy, that's fine. And then he said, my problem is, don't say that I can't hit one guy, I can't hit another guy. He said, just, if you want to play another guy, that's fine. Now, this season, numbers are off dramatically. Just 15 extra base hits, 3 home runs, and 27. But you wonder why managers have gray hair and don't sleep at night? I mean, there's a lot more things to deal with than the fans are aware of. Wins and losses are one thing, and that eats at your stomach, but then you've got to deal with trying to keep everybody happy. But let me point something out. Terry Francona was questioned about that in regard to Victor Martinez coming over and Casey Kochman. He said, hey, I'm not here to make people happy. I'm here to win. And that's the bottom line. Managers put the best team out there to try to win a game.
Off a big bouncer to second. Pedroia backs up to get the hop. And he gets it to first and 1 down.
I can honestly say, and I didn't manage long, I don't want you to think that, but at the same time, you never sit around and say, how am I going to mess with this guy? You say, how am I going to put the best team on the field every day to win? And sometimes that's a challenge. Obviously, the Orioles are outgunned right now. You look at the matchup between this team and the Red Sox over the course of this weekend, and it's no comparison. The future is promising. It's encouraging. There are some good things going on. But right now, it's difficult for a manager to try to match up. And Dave's just trying to put the best team out there every single day.
Well, then might the best approach be for the organization if they are going in that direction? And left fielder Josh Reddick came off the field, having some trouble.
Yeah, and this is an interesting development. It looks like he might have a bloody nose, and they've already lost J.D. Drew with a groin strain. And you can see now the trainer's attending to him. And
Bay left the game last night with a leg injury.
Yeah, Bay's got at least a cramp, maybe a strain, and now Frank Cohn's saying, wait a minute, we got to have some time here because they are down to a very thin bench right now. Baldelli's already come in. Casey Kotzman doesn't play in the outfield. Nick Green can play in the outfield if needed. But they're down to Veritek, Kotzman, and Green on the bench with Bay questionable with that leg problem.
Don't make them like they used to, Crow.
Josh Reddick's come off the field, trying to get his nose to stop bleeding, and this is a serious thing. You want to make sure that he can get that stop.
Yeah, he's 22. He's a gamer. He's going to get back out there. So Buchholz will go back to work on Ty Wigginton, who was playing at third base today in place of Melvin Moore. And Dave Tremblay was asked at his meeting with the media today if Wigginton will continue to get more at-bats with an eye in the future. His answer to the reporters was yes. And my question to you is, as a guy who was in that position, is the best path for the organization simply to be direct and say, here's what we're doing?
No question about it. And you have to have everybody on the same page, including Andy McPhail and Dave Tremblay, of course.
Slice down the right side towards the foul line, and that will be foul.
I mean, it's been talked about all along that they look to the options for next year in the corners, first and third, with both Aubrey Huff and Melvin Moore's contract being up. And I think the organization's been very clear, and Andy said it all along, we're looking for some help at the corners. And that's why Josh Bell was included in the George Shell trade with the Dodgers. So now Ty Wigginton has a contract for next year, and you'd probably like to see just how adequate or how good he might be at third base.
And there's a ball hit towards the middle. There's a base hit for Wigginton. And the Orioles have their first hit. It comes with one down in the second inning.
Ty Wigginton hitting against Clay Buchholz, and you can see it looked like another off-speed pitch, maybe that changeup, a little bit high, and Wiggy's able to take it right back up the middle, hit it over the mound into center field. Just dances over the top of the bag at second base.
Well, here's Luke Scott, who is trying to find his stroke. He has a 3-game hitting streak with one hit in each of his last 3 games. But he has had a heck of a time since the All-Star break. There's a strike at the knees.
You know, to get back to the Melvin Moore situation, and I think one thing Dave does, is he takes a lot of time and a lot of pride in respecting the players to the point where he tells them when they're going to play. He puts up lineups the night before, and he communicates as well as possible. And I don't know if I would do that if I were a manager. You know what's going to happen over the course of a night. Something changes. Somebody gets hot. Somebody has a great day. And you say, oh, I can't do that now because I promised somebody else. I mean, that's the way he chooses to do it. But I don't think there's anybody down there in the dugout or in the clubhouse that can complain about him not trying to treat them fairly.
0-1 on Luke Scott. And he takes a close pitch for a ball.
And Melvin has said it all along that he's not concerned about the lineup. If you want to play one guy, fine, but don't tell me that I can't hit Smoltz or Beckett or somebody like that. And that's what Melvin perceives to be disrespect.
Of course, Melvin's now 37, and as an organization, you have to wonder with his drop-off in performance. Scott takes another pitch outside. Is it just an off year? Is it just a slow start? Or is age beginning to catch up where now he's on the downside of his career?
Well, Melvin said, I've been here for 9 years, and he's been a very good player for them. There's no question about that. But this is what the organization has to decide. Do you cut your ties, end the relationship with Melvin Moore, and thank him for a fine run and a great career here? Melvin doesn't think that he is finished, and thinks he can still be a productive hitter and a good player. And, that's for the ball club to decide.
And the mindset from the player side, I guess, is, well, if I'm struggling, how am I going to break out of it if I'm not in there?
Exactly. And then that's what players will always tell you. How am I supposed to get out of it if I don't get enough regular at-bats? And the manager's response is, hey, you've had 3 months of regular playing and you haven't put it up. I'm going to try somebody else. The bottom line is your last place club, and it's the last thing managers want to have to deal with.
2-2 to Scott is low ball 3.
And this is the fact about Terry Francona saying to his players, hey, you know what? I know somebody's feelings are going to get hurt and somebody's not going to be happy about this because I got a whole bunch of good players and some of you aren't going to play. And I think Kevin Youkilis was really upset when he sat out a game at Fenway Park because they had Adam LaRoche, and that led to Terry getting some help from Theo Epstein saying, you know what? Let's get rid of Adam LaRoche and take the pressure off these guys and give me some help here so I can get them in the lineup.
3-2 on Scott. Good at bat. Ground ball to second. Pedroia to Lowry for one. Back to first. Yet another double play turn by the Boston Red Sox. The double plays just killing the Orioles in this series. Southwest.com and by PNC. PNC leading the way. Well, look down Utah Street. There's the overhang to get from the offices in the warehouse over to the ballpark. One of the ways to get from the warehouse to the ballpark. The other is the tunnel underneath the stadium. And a big crowd on hand here on this Sunday afternoon at Camden Yards. The finale of the series in the 7-game homestand. Birds head out 4 in Detroit, 3 in Toronto. 7 games over the next 7 days on the road. Josh Reddick's spot is due to lead off, and he obviously is continuing to have troubles with his nose. And here's Terry Francona out to talk with the home plate umpire Hunter Wendelstedt.
Yeah, and Terry's really up against it now because he's lost J.D. Drew in the bottom of the first inning. Rocco Baldelli came off the bench, and you can see Reddick has still got his nose plugged up, hoping that that blood will stop. And it's not going to stop as long as you keep exerting yourself and the blood keeps being pumped through your system. And he's out there running. It's a hot day, and it's probably not going to stop for a while.
So the question is, which of the infielders will have to play outfield if they have to go?
Nick Green can do that. Yeah, in an emergency situation, he can go out there and play.
Reddick lined out hard to Huff. His first at bat slices this one down the left side, and that one will bounce on the warning track.
And Nick Green, he's played in the outfield in the past, and if it needs be, he will go out there. It's not like it's a last week of the season situation. It's the 2nd of August, but it's interesting that Reddick is taking his glasses off as well.
There's Jason Bay, the regular left fielder, left last night's game. He had a cramp in his right hamstring and did not start today. Reddick just up from Double-A Portland. Coming into this season, he had played only 34 games above A ball. 17th round pick in 2006. Another example of good scouting.
Yeah, well, you have to believe that because he's not wearing glasses today, that he wears contacts during the day because your vision is much improved with the bright daylight, and contacts sometimes create a halo effect at night. I wore a contact when I played, and oftentimes you'd see just a halo around the contacts at night, but you got to believe he's playing with contacts today as opposed to the glasses we've seen the last 2 nights.
2-2 is fouled back. And Brian Bass came on with the bases loaded in the second and 1 down. He walked Ortiz to force in a run, but then got Baldelli and Lowell to end it. So Burke in charge with the 6 earned runs. Chopper foul. Of course, the Red Sox have been contending now for several consecutive years. And when you have that situation, you're able to go out and add pieces here and pieces there to the nucleus that Terry Francona has helped build with Theo Epstein. Reddick up for the minors, but you go out, you make the big trade for Victor Martinez, and that's the other part of being successful, Buck, that continues to allow you to be even better is you develop players sometimes for you and sometimes to trade for others. And they've been able to do it both ways. 2-2 pitch, high fly ball, left field and deep. PA's back on it, and that ball is gone. PA gave it an effort, but Reddick goes the opposite way for his first major league home run.
Well, don't look now, but this kid's not coming out of the lineup for anything. That's a pretty good sinking fastball away, and they know a lot about Josh Reddick. He was with them in spring training. He gets his first major league hit here. Now he gets his first major league home run well beyond the reach of Felix Pie, who gave it a great effort. But what a weekend for Josh Reddick. He was in Double-A Portland, got the emergency call, show up in Baltimore, and now he's made 2 starts and collected his first major league home run. Bloody nose and all.
Here's Jed Lowry. 0-1 pitch by Brian Bass is low. There's an interesting exchange just going on there because that home run ball came back on the field. Felix Pie threw it to the ball girl down the line, and normally they give the balls away for souvenirs. But the crew chief, Jeff Kellogg, was umpiring at third. Jason Verite came out on the field and said, "Hey, Jeff, we need that ball. That's his first home run." And they were able to get to the ball girl. There she is down the line, get the ball back from the fan, and now they're making an exchange. 2-1 pitch foul back off the bat of Lowry. So nearly had to come out of the game sitting with the trainer, and still trying to prevent that nose from getting worse, or hoping that the bleeding will stop. 366 feet on that home run, his first in the big leagues. 2-2 pitches bounce foul.
Well, we mentioned that Josh Reddick was with the Red Sox during spring training. They got to see him. He had over 400 with Boston in spring training. Actually went to New York to play in an exhibition series against the Mets that opened up Citi Field. And Dave Magadan, the hitting coach, said, "I like the kid. He attacks the baseball." And we have seen that firsthand.
Well, he is now 3 for 7 in this series. Last night he had a 2-hit game, including getting his first major league hit. Now his first major league home run. And there's a walk. So Brian Bass is really struggling today. That is the second walk since coming on, and he just not have command.
Yeah, when Brian Bass is really on his game, a lot of sinking fastballs down on his own for strikes. He's got a late breaking ball that he's able to throw over command, but he hasn't been sharp with his control here.
Boston has scored in every inning, and now a 7-0 lead. And here's Ellsbury again. Third inning, third at bat. Walked and scored in the first, singled and scored in the second. There's a bouncer toward short, and Dino will step on the base and fire to first to get 2, and 2 men down. So now the only way you're going to double up Ellsbury because of his speed, a ball hit right to the fielder near the bag.
Yeah, Robert Andino's taken right to the bag in pursuit of this big hopper, steps on the bag with his left foot, throws him plenty of time to get Ellsbury. Finally, the Orioles get a double play. It has been the Red Sox that have utilized the double play. 5 in the last 2 games, including 2 here this afternoon already.
Here's Pedroia, 2 for 2 with a couple of singles and 2 runs scored. He now has base hits in 20 of his last 23 games, leading Boston with 124 base hits. And Pedroia, his attitude and his approach, because he's had to fight for everything that he's been able to attain, certainly fits in with the personality of the Red Sox franchise. Fly ball center field. Jones has a play, and he's got it for the out in the inning end. Sox get another run on the Reddick home run. Middle of the third, 7-0 Boston.
Hours before and 1 hour after each Orioles home game, there are plenty of big screen HD TVs to catch all the action on MASN. Plus, each game, the O's All Access pregame show is broadcast live from the bar with Tom Davis and Dave Johnson. Don't miss the bar's pregame specials and postgame fun. Stop by the Bud Light Warehouse Bar on Utah Street. Jim?
All right, Amber, thank you very much. As we peek in from center field. Standing room area there just above the Boston bullpen. Greg Zahn leads off. Hits it to right. Right there is Baldelli. And on 1 pitch, 1 down in the Oriole third inning. Buchholz has been helped out by 2 double plays in the first 2 innings. As the Orioles try to get something going. Leadoff walk, then a double play in the first. 1 out single and a double play to end the inning in the second. And Dino getting a start at shortstop today as Torres gets the day off. As Torres had a good homestand going. There's a strike. And Dino has had, this is only his 8th at bat since the All-Star break.
Well, Lesteur's missed about a month with that appendectomy, and Andino got a chance to play every day and did a good job. And now it's a matter of trying to stay as sharp as possible with Lesteur's back. But Caesar has played very well in the field, and he's probably hit better than everybody anticipated. But Andino has proven to be a very good backup. And it was a concern at the onset of spring training that Lesteur's didn't have anybody to back him up that could be a capable replacement. Andino has proven to be that.
Yeah, Blake Davis was the closest of the Oriole prospects to possibly doing that, but then he hurt his foot in spring training. He is back now. He's back at shortstop for AAA Norfolk, but it cost him an opportunity, so the trade was made to get Andino, and it's proven to be a good trade. Buchholz has allowed only one hit. He has walked 2. Andino swings through it. You know, you were talking earlier about the talent difference between what the Red Sox are and what the Orioles are trying to build here as they try to get back into contention in the division. We're in 2 with 1 down on Robert Andino. And there's a good at bat and a walk, and he's on with 1 down. And I'm wondering where in the equation do the players on this team, on the Orioles team, have to just decide, you know what, I'm not taking this anymore, and I'm going to do whatever is necessary to get it done. I saw a little bit of that in Danny Baez last night with that exchange with Varitek at the plate. He tagged him, and the inning was over, and Varitek was like offended because of the way he was tagged, and Baez was like, wait a minute, you know, when are the Orioles going to start standing up to the other teams? And how do they go about doing that? Does it involve bringing in somebody from the outside, or does somebody on this roster have to be that guy?
Yeah, I think the players will have to determine that themselves, and there's going to have to be a player that steps up and say, you know what, I'm not part of this losing. I'm tired of it. We're going to have to turn it around. And you know, talent is one thing, and when you are outmanned, it's one thing. But I think Danny Baez was just a little bit into the heat of the moment. I don't think there was anything malicious on either part of them. But as far as the Orioles in the clubhouse, you know, it's going to take an everyday player to step up. And to me, my personal opinion is it's going to be Adam Jones. And it's going to be Adam Jones. He has already attained all-star status. He is an everyday player, and he's going to have to make sure that he plays it at a level that nobody can question. And then he can, too, ask his teammates to play at that same level. And when you get to that point, then I think you're going to see things turn around.
For some reason, Buchholz very concerned with Andino at first base. Roberts fouls it off. Buchholz looking for his second win. He's coming off a no decision in his last start against Oakland. The game he was called up for to pitch at Toronto and then sent down right after. He did win that game at the Rogers Center. 1-1 on Brian Roberts, who walked his first at bat, looking to extend the hitting streak to 6 straight. So yeah, I guess the other part of that too, and I agree with you that I think Adam Jones can be that person. There are star players on this team, but I'm not sure their personalities lend themselves to being that person, and here's one of them right here. Brian Roberts is a great player, but he's very quiet. I'm not sure he could be that vocal kind of a leader, nor would he aspire to be that guy.
Well, Derek Jeter's very quiet, and he's a leader. And you play with effort, and you play with a level of intensity that everybody else kind of follows.
There's a base hit for Bryant up the middle. Well, the Orioles have 2 on at the same time for the first time in this game. So in other words, you don't have to verbalize anything. If you go out and you hustle, and you show effort, and you show a positive attitude, and you show a willingness to win and a disdain for losing, that should rub off.
2002, David Eckstein, he didn't say a peep, and he led. And he was the leader of that Angel team, and he drug everybody along with him, including Tim Salmon and Troy Gloss and Darren Erstad. And it's just a perception, and you're right. The players are the ones that have to ultimately turn it around and just say, you know, enough is enough.
Here's Felix P.A. getting a start in left field today. And there's a strike. You know, because You and I were talking last week about individual effort. You know, how do you run out a ground ball? How do you carry yourself on the field? All those things you can control.
Well, let me tell you something. It's easy to lose. It's easy to accept losing. You just go out there and everybody says, well, you know, we just lost today. And you see the good teams, and you watch the Yankees, and you watch the Red Sox, and then guys like Dustin Pedroia, they won't accept it. And Dustin Pedroia is not the biggest, the strongest, the most talented, but he's the guy that might be the most verbal and says, you know what, this stinks. And when he comes back to the dugout saying, I can't believe that guy got me out, and he's not getting me out again, that's infectious.
1-1 on PA. And Dino at second, Roberts at first. Orioles trying to get to Buchholz here in the third. And it's high, ball two. And Buchholz really has not been tremendously sharp, but 2 double plays have helped him out already in this game.
Well, we've talked about Felix PA, and he hasn't had a lot of at-bats. And, you know, you talk to Dave Tremblay, and he talks about want to find out what PA is and who he can be. And, you know, he's not gotten a lot of opportunities because Nolan Reimold has come up and taken over most of the at-bats in left field.
2-1 on PA. Buchholz really taking his time. There's a tapper towards third, and it squirts to shortstop. That'll be an infield hit. Just underneath the glove of Mike Lowell. So PA gets an infield base hit. Here come the Orioles. Bases loaded, 1 down.
He just punches it toward the hole. Lowell going to his left, can't make a play on it. Lowry keeps it on the infield, but he has no play. And right now, you've just got to think, okay, here's where we need that hit. Dave Tremblay's talking about a 2-out hit, but how about a 1-out hit with the bases loaded? Double plays have bailed out Buchholz to this point. He's had 1 in each of the first 2 innings.
And Dino, Roberts, and PA third to first. Jones facing Buchholz. Adam walked his first at bat. He has 2 hits in this series and 7 hits on the homestand. And breaking ball over his head. Nice job there by Victor Martinez to catch that ball as Adam ducked out of the way.
Yeah, this one just slips out of Buchholz's hand. As you can see, he's trying to really snap off a great breaking ball, and it nails it right over the head of Adam Jones.
And look who's in to talk to him. Dustin Pedroia came in to calm down the right-hander.
Looking up, sticking a finger in his chest. I've had enough of that.
You got a 7-0 lead. Throw strikes. 1-0 on Adam Jones. Line drive down the line. That's going to get down for a base hit. And it heads to the corner. And Dino scores. Roberts scores. The ball fired back in by Baldelli. A 2-run double for Adam Jones, and the Orioles trying to mount a comeback.
And that's part of being a leader. Getting big hits. We talked about what a good hitter Adam has been during day games, and he delivers a big hit. Gets the Orioles on the board. Pretty good pitch down out of the zone. Not trying to hit it out of the ballpark, just trying to cash in on the bases loaded. Great concentration. Stays down on the ball, drives it to the wall in right field. And Dino, who walked with 1 out, scores. Right behind him, Brian Roberts.
So one of those walks, 3 in the game against Buchholz, has finally hurt him. There's John Farrell, the pitching coach, out for a chat with Buchholz. Buchholz in his career is just 6-11. He pitched the no-hitter against the Orioles in 2007 when he was a rookie. And so his legend has probably exceeded his performance to this point. So big spot here for Nick Markakis, who bounced into a force play to end the first inning. Nick has hit in 4 straight games. Been very productive since the break. Hard hit ball towards first. Youkilis has it. Thought about coming to the plate, and then he goes to the bag as PA scores. So he takes the sure out, and it's a 7-3 game.
Yeah, I don't think Youkilis ever had a thought of throwing it home. He just came up with a fake. No, he had plenty of time to get Markakis. PA scores after getting the infield hit. Adam Jones moves to third. 3 runs in. And look at Euclid. When you play deep like this, you could see how deliberate he was. He wasn't going to make a throw to the plate. He just wanted to make sure he got the out in that situation.
So Jones ends up at third, and Terry Crowley talking with Felix P.A. Here's Aubrey Huff. So now another chance for a 2-out hit. And it's ball 1. So the Orioles chipping back in it. It's now a 4-run Boston lead, and we're only in the 3rd inning. Aubrey's bat is starting to come back. He's had a tough time since the break. Happy that it's now August. There's a strike. Huff has just 7 RBIs since the All-Star break, but 6 have come on this homestand.
Yeah, he's starting to swing the bat much better, and he had his 200th home run here against the Red Sox in this series. It's been a long home run drought, taking him all the way back to the 3rd of July.
Over but low, ball 2.
Well, here's the situation the manager talked about. Dave Tremblay said we need a 2-out base hit. Certainly boost the morale of your ball club if you can deliver with 2 outs and cut into that 4-run deficit.
Good hitters count here, 2-1. Jones at third with 2 men down. Line drive right field, hit pretty well. Baldelli back out, and it's over his head, and it gets the scoreboard. Jones scores, and Huff will get into second base with a double. So there's a big 2-out base hit. It's 7-4.
There is a little fight in the dog. 22nd double of the season for Aubrey Huff. We mentioned how well he's swinging the bat, had the count in his favor. That's in his wheelhouse. That ball that's out over the plate. He loves to extend those long arms. He drives it over the head of Baldelli. Ball bounces off the scoreboard. Adam Jones comes in. 4th run of the inning.
So the Orioles are back in it now, down by 3. Here's Wigginton, the 8th Oriole to bat in this 3rd inning. Another RBI chance for the Birds. Line drive down the line. Will it stay fair? That is a home run! It got out of here just down the line. 2-run shot for Wigginton, and it's a 1-run game. What an inning for the Orioles. 6 runs in and still not done.
Ty Wigginton hits a pretty good pitch inside. He keeps the ball square, and right there he knows he's hit it hard enough. He pauses to make sure that ball hits the foul pole. He hit a home run against Kansas City on Thursday, and this one makes it a 1-run ball game.
Luke Scott checks a swing and fouls it off. So number 8 for Wigginton. Drives in 2, and it's a 1-run game. Now some smiles on the bench. And Luke Scott takes high, 1-1. So the Birds have batted around. Huff had a 2 and an RBI double and scored. There's Matty Del Carmen now getting loose in the Boston bullpen. Luke Scott swings through it. So Ty Wigginton getting the start at third base, hits it out. His 8th home run on the year. Meantime, Luke Scott is trying to find his stroke buck. He has batted just .116 with 2 RBIs since the break. And he's down on strikes, took it right down the middle. But what an inning for the Orioles. The Birds bat around. Adam Jones got it started. Brand new game here at the ballpark. better than fast food? It's Wendy's. Well, the fans in the bullpen picnic area having a good time at the ballpark on this Sunday afternoon. And the Oriole fans are back in it as this ballpark has come alive. A 6-run bottom of the third. Orioles bat around and get back in it. And now it's up to Brian Bass to put up a 0. Boston has scored in each of its first 3 at-bats. Ty Wigginton's 2-run home run capped the rally and made it a 1-run game. Victor Martinez, Youkilis, and Ortiz for Boston here in the 4th. And there's a strike at the knees. Birkin went an inning and a third, 6 earned runs on 7 hits. Brian Bass has gone an inning and 2/3. He's allowed 1 run on 1 hit, the solo home run by Josh Reddick. Slice to left, long run for PA, still coming on, but it hooks foul. Kept spinning away from PA as he came towards foul territory.
But now we have the ongoing battle between the Red Sox fans and the Orioles fans, and there have been spirited rallies all throughout this weekend.
Oriole fans are trying to beat down the cheers. 0-2 is outside. They sure do travel well. I understand it was much the same when the Red Sox played the Nationals in the interleague games at Nationals Park. 1-2 on Victor Martinez. And there's a base hit up the middle. So another base runner for Boston here, and a leadoff single in the 4th inning. Well, more dates have been announced for you to enjoy Baltimore's hottest new address, 2110 Utah Street, presented by First Fidelity Mortgage. Join fellow Nick Markakis and Adam Jones fans in the new fan club section. For just $21, you'll get a reserved Utah Street bleacher seat and an exclusive I Live at 2110 Utah Street t-shirts. Tickets for August 15th are nearly sold out, but seats still remain for August 30th and September 5th. For your tickets, 888-848-BIRD or online at Orioles.com. So Boston now has 9 hits in this game. Oriole pitching has also walked 4. And 13 base runners in 3 innings plus 1 batter. And here's Youkilis. Takes a strike, 1-1. Youkilis has been on base twice. He has singled and scored and walked. Bounce towards third, gloved by Wigginton. He turns and fires to first, and there's an infield hit. Wigginton, however, by getting to the ball, prevented a double and prevented Victor Martinez from getting the third.
Because his momentum is going away from second base, he couldn't have gotten squared around to make a throw to second. Momentary bobble of the ball really handcuffed him, and by the time he gets to the Huff, all Aubrey can do is play the one hopper, not even concerned about getting it out.
So 2 on with none down. And here's David Ortiz. Another RBI chance for Ortiz. Ortiz walked with the bases loaded to drive in a run in the second. He popped up to shallow left field in the first. Over but low, 1-0.
Yeah, he was the first batter Bass faced back in the second inning when he took over for Jason Birkin. See, that last pitch, John wanted it up, and Bass missed down with it. Trying to crowd Ortiz.
Good pitch there. He swung through, 1-1.
Changeup had him out in front, and you just really got to mix it up, especially when Bass doesn't have that great location we're used to seeing when he's in the game. Right now, it's just a little bit of an adventure for him, but when he is down, he can get double play right here and really take some of the pressure off.
And he looks it over, ball 2. Brian Bass really living dangerously. He walked Ortiz, as Buck mentioned, the first batter he faced in the second. Then after the home run, he walked Lowry, but got a double play ball. Now 2 singles to begin the fourth. Lines right to Roberts for the out. Oh boy, that ball was smoked. And Roberts has it for the out, 1 down. So the shift was on. Roberts was right there, and he gloved it.
Yeah, you can see he's playing on the dirt here in this double play situation. Takes him to his knees, and because of that, he has no play on the infield. That ball was hit so sharply, the initial reaction of the base runners is to go back to the bag. Now Zahn wants to go out and have a little chat with Brian Bass. Obviously, a double play would give them an opportunity to get out of this inning. That also gives Matt Albers time to get up and begin throwing. This is an all hands on deck situation now. You're back into the ball game, 7-6 with a 6-run bottom of the 3rd inning.
So the 2 runners on, Martinez at second and Youkilis at first. And here's Baldelli for his second at bat. Took over for J.D. Drew, who left the game after his at bat in the first inning with a tight left groin muscle. Outside, 1-0. One down, 2 on. Fouled straight back of the plate.
Yeah, that's where he wants to pitch Baldelli right now. Try to crowd him inside, see if he can't get a ground ball and pick up the second double play since he's come into the game. He got Ellsbury to hit into a 6-3 double play when he tapped the ball towards second base for Andino.
Baldelli in his first year with Boston. Check swing, it's outside. He was Tampa Bay's first round pick in 2000, burst on the scene. Last year appeared in only 28 games. Injury and illness struggles in his career. Well, it looked like a pretty good pitch, but it's called a ball.
Now, you don't get calls on borderline pitches when you're having trouble finding the strike zone. If you're around the strike zone all the time, the umpire gets kind of locked in thinking it's a strike. But when you're having trouble, boy, you don't get too many borderline calls.
Well, 3-1 on Baldelli. And there's a ball hit through the middle for a base hit. Victor Martinez will be held at third by DeMarlo Hale. That ball hit sharply and Jones playing shallow. So here comes Boston again. Another bases loaded situation for the Red Sox.
You might see a little bit of a delay here as the infielders wander back to their bases just very deliberately. Yep, yeah, here comes Dave Tremblay, going to go to Matt Albers. He had Albers just enough time to get loose. And the Red Sox are on Bass, so you hope that Albers can come in here and get that ground ball you need.
So Brian Bass will leave. The runners on base his responsibility, and Matt Albers comes on in yet another big spot in the fourth. Only one earned run so far, but he leads 3 men on, and Bucky faced 11 batters and allowed 6 to reach. And here's Matt Albers.
Yeah, and Matt Albers is coming into this bases loaded situation. He has faced 17 batters with the bases loaded and gotten 2 double plays. 3 would be a sweet thing for this Oriole club right now, as they've made it a 1-run ball game. They've scored 6 runs at the bottom of the 3rd, but the Red Sox just won't let up. 3rd time they have had the bases loaded here this afternoon. And this is the 4th inning.
Martinez, Youkilis, and Baldelli 3rd to 1st, and here's Mike Lowell. RBI single came in his first at bat. He struck out in the 2nd. And it's outside, 1-0. That has unfortunately been a popular count today for the Oriole pitchers. Falling behind batters with the first pitch. Line to left field. That's headed towards the corner. That ball's trouble. It gets down for a base hit. 2 runs scored. Baldelli will be held at 3rd, and Mike Lowell in the 2nd with a 2-run double. So after the Orioles pull within 1, the Sox come right back.
Now, Mike Lowell's an RBI producer. 3rd RBI today. This ball is up. About belt high, and he hooks it down the left field line. He's able to keep it fair because he draws his hands inside the ball. He leads with his hands and squares it up on the barrel and drills it down the left field line.
So Lowell now has 53 RBIs on the year. 2nd and 3rd one down. Here's Josh Reddick. Ball 1. Reddick hit his first major league home run in the 3rd inning. Line drive, and there's another base hit right through the box. Baldelli scores, Lowell goes to 3rd, and it's a 3-run inning for Boston. What a major league debut this weekend for Josh Reddick, who was playing for Portland in the Eastern League until Friday night.
Well, you just look at this team. They are so balanced. They have such depth even on their bench. And Mike Lowell, there's some sentiment in Boston that Lowell should be reduced in his playing time. That sentiment isn't felt by Terry Francona, the manager. He loves Lowell's ability to drive in tough runs. He can really swing the bat.
Jed Lowry, the number 9 batter, looked to 3rd and looked back to 1st. Reddick stayed put. So the book now closed on Brian Bass. 2 innings and 4 earned runs. Albers has faced 2 batters. He's allowed 2 hits. And ball 1.
13 hits now for the Red Sox. Had 13 last night, 11 on Friday night. And they were a cold, cold club in the month of July.
Still only 1 down in this inning. Check swing, and he went too far. Good breaking ball by Albers. 1-1. Here's Mike Lowell at 3rd. And Josh Reddick on at 1st. Jed Lowry at the plate, 25. He was a 4th-round pick in 2005. There's a line drive to center field. There's another base hit. Here's Lowell to score. And Boston has put 4 on the board here. Matt Albers, 3 batters, 3 hits, each to drive in a run. It's now 11-6, and the Orioles once again down by 5.
That was a breaking ball just out over the plate, and Lowry Just sits back on that back leg and drills it into center field in front of Adam Jones. Mike Lowell jogs home. 4 runs in.
And there's a strike. So Albers gets ahead of a hitter. And here's Jacoby Ellsbury. He hasn't batted since last inning. Leadoff hitter. 4th inning. It's already his 4th at bat. Weak swing there, and it's on 2. This is the 3rd time in 4 innings here that Boston has sent 8 men to the plate. The 1st, the 2nd, and the 4th. James Shields, a no-hitter through 6 innings at Tropicana Field, but Kansas City and Tampa Bay scoreless. Overthrows the fastball, 1-2. Tampa Bay is back within 5 in the loss column of both the Yankees and the Red Sox in the East. 10 games above 500. They believe they will be a factor before it's all done.
Brian Bannister pitching for the Royals. He's given up 5 hits but no run.
Breaking balls low, 2-2. Tampa Bay has gained on the first place Yankees each of the first, or the last 2 days. They have won against Kansas City, while the Yankees have lost 3 straight in Chicago and close out that series today at U.S. Cellular Field. Ball 3.
And for Tampa Bay, Jeff Neiman has been a real pleasant surprise with 10 wins as a rookie. He leads the rookie pitchers with 10 wins.
Albers was ahead 0-2, and now the count full on Ellsbury. And he walked him. Albers still has not recorded an out. Rick Kranitz is going to come out for a chat. So 14 hits and 5 walks combined.
Yeah, that's been the theme of this whole series. Too many walks, too many base hits. And the Red Sox just have grinders in their lineup up and down the order. They've got a well-balanced lineup, and now that lineup has improved dramatically with the insertion of Victor Martinez into the 3rd spot. Mark Hendrickson will start to loosen up down in the Orioles bullpen.
So here's Pedroia. His 4th at bat in this game as Boston is now batted around, and there's a strike. So the Orioles get 6 in the bottom of the 3rd to get back in it, and Boston puts 4 on the board here in the 4th, and they're not done yet. The bases once again loaded and still only 1 down. And that 1 out was the hardest hit ball of the inning by David Ortiz. Tapper foul, bounced back up and hit Pedroia in the box, 0-2. Albers has faced four batters, giving up a 2-run double to Lowell, RBI singles to Reddick and Lowry, and a walk to Ellsbury. This is full of Red Sox. The fastball ties up Pedroia.
Yeah, go right back inside again. Now, obviously, Pedroia is thinking about something away that he has to fight off in this situation. Back to back now. Inside, I believe, would be a good pitch.
One and 2 the count. Line drive caught by Wigginton. No other play, 2 down. So even the outs are loud in this inning.
Well, they did come inside, and it was down, and Pedroia got to it. It was on, slides to the inside, and look at Pedroia extend. That ball was down, but outbit Ty Wigginton right there. No other play. Snags the line drive. Both outs in this innings have been line drives.
Here's Victor Martinez. He got this going against Brian Bass with a leadoff single this inning. He's had a 2-hit game after making his Boston debut last night. Breaking ball down and in, 1-0. Birkin went an inning and a third, 6 earned runs. Bass 2 innings, 4 earned runs. And Albers so far a third of an inning and 1 earned run. 11-6 Boston. Fastball for a strike. Certainly a difference in the philosophies of these teams because of the Orioles working in so many young pitchers in the starting rotation. But Boston only has a 6-man bullpen. The Orioles have 8 relievers. Well, somebody's going to have to go off the team on Tuesday when Bergeson's start is replaced, likely by Brian Mattis. But for the moment, it is an 8-man bullpen for Dave Tremblay.
I mean, he knows he's got young pitchers, and you never know when they're going to be bumped out of the game early today. 2nd inning yesterday, 5th inning, and you have to go deep to your bullpen, and that's why you need the extra arms. Yesterday, they used 4 relievers to close out the game. Already their 2nd relief pitcher, and the 3rd is warming up.
Mark Hendrickson, the lone left-hander now, with George Sherrill traded. A 1-2 on Victor Martinez. Brian Roberts called that conference at the mound. He asked Zahn to come out. He may have picked up on something. See what Albers does here. 1-2. Fastball bends out of the way. "17 runs on 20 hits in this game." And the Red Sox once again have a 5-run lead. And it's still only the top of the 4th. Orioles still have a lot of time to come back on Boston. But the Orioles have been unable to shut down Boston in any of these innings. Sox have scored in each. 4 in the first, 2 in the second, 1 in the third, 4 here in the 4th. Here's the 2-2, low ball 3. I don't know where to put him. Brian Bass has been getting deep in these counts.
Hey, you just give the hitter such an advantage when you're pitching from behind. They can be patient. They get a good feel for your velocity. The same for the movement, and they can become very selective.
Reddick, Lowry, and Ellsbury 3rd to 1st. 3-2 with 2 men down. Yet another big pitch in this game. Foul back. Matt Albers last year on the DL. He had the partial tear in his shoulder. He elected rehab versus surgery and didn't make it back for this year. Three and 2 on Victor Martinez. Broken bat pop up. Roberts back on it. This is a tough play, and it falls in for a base hit. And 2 more runs will score. Broken bat bloop, and Martinez delivers.
Just the kind of day it's been for the Orioles. When they hit it hard, it's an out, and when the Red Sox get jammed, they flare it in for 2 runs. Right in front of Adam Jones. Brian Roberts trying to make over-the-shoulder catch, couldn't get to it. Time Jones picks it up, it's 2 more runs in, and it's a 6-run inning to answer the Orioles' 6-run bottom of the 3rd.
So once again, the Sox lead by 7. And the ERAs are taking a pounding. There's Ellsbury. He ended up at 3rd, and Martinez on at 1st. He has 3 hits in the game, 2 in this inning. Youkilis reached on an infield hit earlier this inning. He's 2 for 2 plus a walk. Boston with 15 base hits. Strike taken. The season high for hits in a game for Boston is 17. They have 15 hits already, and we're only in the 4th inning. Line drive to right. There's another base hit. Here's Ellsbury to score, and Albers cannot get anybody out. And that's going to do it for Albers. Here's Dave Tremblay. So Albers came on to face 7 batters. He only retired 1, and here's Hendrickson coming on. A 7-run inning and a 14-6 lead now for the Red Sox. He allowed 5 hits and a walk, and the only out he retired was the line drive that was a rocket to the third baseman Ty Wigginton. He's already been charged with 4 earned runs, and the inning is not yet over. 2 on base are his responsibility, and here's Hendrickson.
Mark Hendrickson came into the game in the 5th inning yesterday with 1 out in relief of David Hernandez. He came in after Ortiz had doubled. And he would go on to pitch an inning and a third, allowed 2 runs on 3 hits and walked a couple.
Martinez at second, Youkilis at first, and here's David Ortiz, who has been relatively quiet today. He does have an RBI on a bases loaded walk. He popped up to shallow left with the bases loaded in the first. And he lined out hard to Roberts earlier this inning, facing Mark Hendrickson, the left-hander. Breaking balls low. He doesn't chase. 2-0. The Red Sox season high for hits in an inning is 9. They have 8 in this inning. That was on May the 7th against Cleveland. Ball 3. There you see the shift on against David Ortiz. Robertson shallow right field. Ortiz takes all the way, and it's in there for a strike. Clay Buchholz has to be feeling pretty good about things today. Buck gave up 6 runs in an inning, and he still has a huge lead.
Yeah, certainly. When you pitch for this team, there's a chance you're going to get some run support. They can score some runs. But when you really look at it, Red Sox coming into this game were 9th in batting average on the road in the American League. They had not hit well, and they started to tune it up here in Baltimore. They had 11 hits on Friday night, 13 hits last night, and so far 16.
3-1 is fouled off. And David Ortiz has gone to a full count, 3-2. There are the runners, Martinez and Youkilis. Each has a 3-hit game today. Six of the 9 hitters in this lineup have multi-hit games already. Runners go on 3-2, and it's bounced towards the shift. There's Roberts in shallow right. He'll get it to first, and the inning is finally over. But the Red Sox break it open yet again. A 7-run inning and a 14-6 lead.
In the 4th inning, and they erased that big 6-run inning. Matt Albers had a rough third of an inning as he gave up 5 hits.
So now we'll see if the Orioles can answer as they did in the 3rd inning. Greg Zahn led off in the 3rd and flied out. The Orioles then proceeded to bat around and score 6 runs. The Orioles now trail by 8. Zahn, Andino, and Roberts here in the 4th. Fouled off. And it's quickly 0-2 on Zahn. The amazing thing about this game is it's 14-6, and Buchholz still needs 6 outs to qualify for a win. it's still only the bottom of the 4th. There's a called strike on an off-speed pitch. Zahn did not agree with the call. And 1 away in the Oriole 4th inning. Get online now, Orioles.com. You can register for this season's final Orioles baseball summer camp, August 10th through the 13th. It'll be at the Park School in Baltimore. It's for boys and girls ages 7 to 16. Camp features a 4-day program, professional instructors, giveaways, free Orioles tickets, and more. Plus, rookie Matt Wieters will make an appearance and offer campers some major league advice. Campers will also get a chance to play at Oriole Park later this year. For all the details, online at Orioles.com. Hunter Wendelstedt is getting into it. Looks like with Zahn on the bench, who's right behind Dave Tremblay, and Tremblay yelling out at Hunter Wendelstedt.
Just threw him out. Threw out Zahn from the dugout, and this is not going to be pretty. Frustrating day for everybody. And Zahn comes out after being ejected and is going to air it out with the home plate umpire. And now Tremblay trying to defend his player, but it's after the fact that Zahn has been ejected. Didn't like the call on strike 3.
Well, Jeff Kellogg, the crew chief, comes in to get Zahn away. Obviously, Zahn did not think that the strike 3 call was a strike. And you can see, obviously, the frustration of the day, and Zahn telling the umpire, you know what, they don't need help. That's how the player obviously feels. There's Zahn from the bench.
Here's the pitch that obviously that's not the pitch. It was a curveball to Zahn for strike 3 that led to the subsequent ejection.
That was the pitch that led to the argument, because Zahn was on the bench and started barking at Hunter Wendelstedt. Well, 1-1 the count on Andino, and now Wieters will have to come into this game. Check swinging a bouncer towards third, and it's foul.
Dave Tremblay, it's been a frustrating day all along, but take a look at the last pitch to Zahn. It's a breaking pitch that Zahn obviously felt was low. It was over the plate, and after he got back to the dugout, he continued to bark at Hunter Wendelstedt, was eventually ejected. These are ugly days for everybody involved when you're on the field and you just can't get anything going, and the opponents, the Red Sox in this case, are pounding on the baseball.
So Wieters will be pressed into this game, and Andino not even close on that swing. He's down on strikes and 2 men out. So Buchholz back-to-back strikeouts to begin the fourth.
3 in a row now for Buchholz. So you got Luke Scott to end the third. Another good breaking ball, and that's his bread and butter pitch. A great curveball, hard, tight breaking curveball. Gets the second strikeout of this inning.
Orioles have not gone 3 up and 3 down in this game yet. Buchholz isn't out away from achieving that. Here's Roberts. Bryant has extended his hitting streak in this game to 6 straight. He singled his last at bat. He's also drawn a walk. A long way to go in this game, Buck, and it's a hot day. It's muggy, and the temper's already flaring. There's a line drive and a base hit to right. So Brian Roberts has a 2-hit game, 35th multi-hit game, and he's on in the 4th inning with 2 down. Here's Felix P.A. hoping to keep it going. He helped the rally in the 3rd with an infield hit. Later came on to score. Buchholz, in his first 3 starts for the Red Sox this year, had allowed 6 earned runs total. He's allowed 6 earned runs in this game. P.A. takes ball 1. Roberts held it first. There's a chopper towards first. Youkilis has it. A run to the base unassisted. P.A.'s out in the inning end, so a 2-out single and a man left. We'll head to the 5th inning at Oriole Park on a hot afternoon. Good day to be at the beach. 14-6 Sox. AT&T, students of any age can purchase a left field upper reserve seat for just $6 with a valid school ID. For all the details, 888-848-BIRD or onlineorioles.com. That is Friday, August 14th. And the Angels are in town, so you get to see a good team as well. Rocco Baldelli, first ball swinging, deep short, long throw for Andino. He got him. Nicely done, and one down. Here's Matt Wieters into the game after Greg Zahn was ejected for not agreeing with the called strike 3. So the day game after night game, Wieters pressed into action. As a catcher, I guess because you're behind the plate, you see what he's calling and what he's not calling. I'm sure that's why Zahn was even more adamant about the fact that he thought that pitch was low.
Yeah, he's got a real good idea of the strike zone all day long, and then you see one that you don't think's in the zone. You wonder why that's called against you. But at the same time, I talked about how frustrating it is for a catcher when you're back there and nothing's working. You know, the guys don't have location, you don't have the command, don't have the ability to throw something over, and you give up 16 hits. That's frustration enough.
Slow curveball to Mike Lowell, taken for a strike, 1-2. Hendrickson came on to get the final out in the 4th, and he'll try to eat up some of these innings here as the Orioles trail 14-6. That one's a little bit low, 2-2. Here's a bloop towards first. Huff back on it. It's over his glove for a base hit.
Aubrey Huff looked right up into the sun. Just as he got back, looked like he was going to make a play on it. The ball disappeared into the ball of fire high over the stadium. Watch how he looks up and then just can't see it at all. Had no idea where it was. Looking right back into that sun. I mean, the Red Sox got everything going. Mike Lowell has 3 hits today and 3 RBI.
So 17 hits, that ties their season high in a game. June 23rd against the Nationals, they had a 17-hit game, and there's Reddick taking the ball. Reddick has homered, he has singled, he has a couple of RBIs. Breaking ball for a strike. Hendrickson is the 4th Orioles pitcher. Buchholz is still in there. Both these teams are on the move after the game. High fly ball to right. Markakis back on it. And he has a play on the warning track and has it for the out, 2 men down. The Red Sox head to Tampa for a day off and then a 2-game series Tuesday and Wednesday. And then they head to New York for a 4-game series beginning next Thursday, which is setting up to be a showdown for first place in the division. As Boston began the day a half game back of New York. The Orioles will head to Detroit for 4 and then Toronto for 3. Jed Lowry batting right-handed, fouls it back. Now Hendrickson is an out away from keeping Boston off the scoreboard, which would be the first inning in this game that the Sox have not scored. The Orioles have scored in only 1 inning, the 6-run 3rd. Grounded towards shortstop. Andino fields. He'll go to second. There's the force on Lowell. And the inning ends. So Mark Hendrickson has a good inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th. 14-6 Boston.
Be honest about it, there's more than one thing to consider, and that's why that iron's in the fire. Okay, that kid's ready if he's the guy. If he's not, you get rained out today or something else happened, you go in another direction.
Well, they didn't get rained out today, so it's looking like they might go in the direction of Brian Mattis on Tuesday. We'll wait for that official report as we head to Detroit. Jim?
All right, Amber, thank you very much. And, of course, they still have to get beyond tomorrow. If it rains in Detroit, that would push Tillman back to Tuesday, and then they wouldn't need the starter, and that's why you wait till the last minute to make the move. But it's likely that Brian Mattis would be the call-up. Here's Adam Jones leading off, and he takes a strike.
Yeah, it's interesting. Brian Mattis, of course, the number 4 pick in the 2008 draft. He would be the 4th first-round pick in that draft to make it to the big leagues. Gordon Beckham, number 8 with the White Sox, playing third base right now.
Adam Jones, high fly ball to left field. There it goes. It is gone. Adam Jones hits it out. There's number 18, and the Orioles yet again are trying to chip back. It is 14-7. 3 RBI game for Adam Jones.
Continues to wear out pitching during the daytime. Came into this game with a .384 daytime batting average. He's perfect with a walk, a double, and a home run. Boy, what a great swing this is. Watch how he squares up on the baseball, gets great extension. A little bit underneath it. That's why it's so high, but it carries into the seats in left field. Jones has had a big day.
John Farrell out for another chat. Well, when the season began, Buck, the top 3 rated prospects, according to Baseball America for the Orioles, Matt Wieters, Chris Tillman, and Brian Mattis. And by Tuesday, all 3 of those are likely to be here in the big leagues.
Yeah, man, it's certainly promising for the future. The other pitchers that have pitched in the big leagues this year, Ryan Perry, also from the 2008 draft, big right-hander from the Tigers, and Daniel Schlereth from the Arizona Diamondbacks, a left-handed reliever, has made his major league debut this year.
Markakis takes low. Of course, Brian Mattis, mature for 22 because he pitched 3 years in college and at the University of San Diego. I'm very impressed with his poise. In the few opportunities I've had a chance to speak with Brian Mattis, you can tell he has an idea as Manny Del Carmen gets up for a second time about how to go about it, and he knows who he is. 2-0 Markakis. Ball 3.
Well, the one thing we have seen with Brian Mattis, and Matt Wieters addressed it a little bit in talking about Mattis, is that he's confident in what he can do. He's got 4 pitches. He throws them over. And as Matt described Mattis, he said he loves baseball. Loves to talk about it, loves to work at it, loves to pitch.
And there's a 4-pitch walk.
How about this?
Clay Buchholz is doing everything to encourage his manager to lift him before he qualifies for a win.
Yep, he's got a win right there in his hip pocket, but he has to get 3 more outs.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Orioles and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Orioles. Big crowd on hand on this Sunday afternoon on August the 2nd. And here's Aubrey Huff. So the Orioles trying to keep the pressure on the Sox. 14-7 on the Jones home run this inning. His 18th. His 4th home run, by the way, for Adam Jones on this homestand. Breaking ball for a strike, and Huff doesn't like the call. Buchholz has allowed 7 runs on 8 hits, chases Markakis back. And he is fortunate that he is pitching today, because his team has put up 14 runs on 17 base hits for him. There's a bloop to left field. That ball's trouble. It's falling, it's in there for a base hit. So Aubrey Huff serves it the other way, and here come the Orioles. So Huff is on, 2 on with none down here in the 5th inning. Freeze count brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
3rd inning with a man aboard. Ty Wigginton squares up on an inside fastball and drills it off the foul pole down the left field line. Number 7 for Wigginton. That made it a 1-run game at that time, 7-6. Wigginton's 2nd home run on his homestand, and he absolutely drilled it.
And how about this? Terry Francona has seen enough, and Clay Buchholz will not qualify for a win.
What did we talk about with Francona? I'm not here to make people happy. I'm here to win.
Well, he hasn't made Clay Buchholz happy, but he's looking for a win. Del Carmen comes on here in the 5th. So Manny Del Carmen comes on, and this now becomes his game. If you're Manny Del Carmen, you're not too upset that you're in this game, but obviously the Red Sox did not want to have this happen, as Clay Buchholz, with the Red Sox scoring 14 runs already, could not get through 5 innings.
Yeah, Del Carmen comes on. His last appearance came in the Oakland series at Fenway Park. He was the winning pitcher in that game, pitched an inning and a third, gave up 2 hits and a run, and didn't strike out a batter. He is on here with nobody out and 2 aboard, and facing a man that homered his last at bat, Ty Wigginton.
You saw Markakis at 2nd and Huff at 1st, none down. 14-7. Boston leads. Go to Hackett, he fouled it off. So Buchholz goes 4 innings plus 3 batters. He's allowed 7 earned runs on 9 hits. The 2 men on base his responsibility, 3 strikeouts and 4 walks. Wigginton has a perfect day going. Runners in scoring position. The Orioles very productive with their few chances. Strike at the knees. Wigginton looks back at Hunter Wendelstedt. Does not agree.
Looked like a changeup from Del Carmen down in the bottom of the zone. He's got a very good changeup. Actually, no, this is 2-seam fastball. Had a little movement on. Caught the bottom of the strike zone.
0-2 on Wigginton. And Del Carmen steps off. Orioles trying to chip back in this. Adam Jones' home run got him started this inning. 0-2 on Wigginton. And that one's high.
Yeah, that was a changeup that just kind of floated in off the plate. Flirting with danger there with 2 strikes. It would change up in the zone. Wigginton has a home run against Del Carmen.
Boston native pitching for the hometown team. One and 2 on Wigginton. That one's inside, ball 2. Del Carmen already has 3 wins out of the Red Sox bullpen, and that's a career high.
Well, you mentioned the Red Sox have 46 wins from the starters, so there aren't a whole lot of decisions for that bullpen. And that's the way you like it. Need the starters out there to get that decision. They're pitching late into the game.
And it's probably not a surprise why the Red Sox bullpen has been so efficient this year, Buck. Their bullpen ERA is 3.16. That is the lowest ERA of any bullpen in the American League. And they also have 15 wins. 2-2 on Wigginton. Ball 3. So from nothing and 2 to a full count.
Remember, the Orioles erased an 8-run deficit on June 30th. When they were behind, John Smoltz started the game. There was a lengthy rain delay. And they scored 5 in the 7th, 5 in the 8th to come back and win that game. All the way back from 8 runs down at 9-1.
Ground ball to second, double play ball. Pedroia goes to Lowry for 1, back to first. There's 2. Another double play turned by Boston. That is 3 in this game, and that has just crushed the Orioles in this series. 2 down. Markakis goes to third.
Third double play of the afternoon. Wigginton had a good at bat going. That ball was away from him. Hits it right at Pedroia. And Lowry, coming across the bag, clears the base path very easily. And it's the third DP that the Red Sox have turned today. They had 3 in the game last night, and 1 in the game on Friday night. Actually 2 in Friday night's game as well.
So 8 in this series, and here's the struggling Luke Scott up. It's really amazing the consistent, if you will, streakiness of Luke Scott. When he is on, they just can't get him out. And when he gets cold, he just can't buy a hit. He does have a very modest 3-game hitting streak going here, trying to find that stroke. He is 0 for 2 today, but he is just 5 for 45 since the All-Star break. That is a 111 batting average since the break. And there are the numbers over his last 10 games, reflecting the slump. Good eye there. 2-1.
Yeah, there was a streak earlier in the season when it looked like he was never going to make another out. And as hot as he was then, he's that cold right now, and he's worked hard at it. It's just one of those things that you'd like to be able to avoid those long streaks of struggles, but he hasn't been able to do it.
2-1 is outside, ball 3. Now, obviously, if he knew why it was happening, he could correct it. But it is a puzzle how a hitter who has the quality that he does and the power that he does can simply just have it all leave him at once.
Yeah, and I asked Luke about it specifically. What did it feel like when you were hot? And he said there was nothing that I did. I just saw the ball and got the bat to it.
And it's outside, ball 4. So the inning goes on. That's the second walk in the inning. First by Del Carmen, and now Matt Wieters up.
Wieters' first at bat of the afternoon. He came in after Greg Zahn, the starter, was ejected in the 4th inning by home plate umpire Hunter Wentelstadt.
Matt has been hot. 9-game hitting streak he brings into this game. This is his first at bat, as Buck mentioned. Long ball here makes it interesting. Ball 1. Markakis at third, he walked. And Scott at first, he walked. There are the numbers during the 9-game hitting streak for Matt Wieters. And a good take, ball 2. Wieters has raised his batting average from 239 to 280 during this hitting streak. Pop foul. That'll be over the Red Sox dugout, out of play.
And we still haven't seen the power from Matt Wieters, and he's just kind of getting his feet on the ground here. Trying to get a little more accustomed to major league pitching, dealing with great arms just about every single night. But you're going to see some power.
2-1 on him. Broken bat pop-up, shallow right. Baldelli charging in on it, has a play, and he puts it away for the out. So the Orioles settle for the run on the home run by Adam Jones. We'll head to the 6th. 14-7 Boston. Promotion for your kids, and you won't want to miss it. First 10,000 fans at the game against the Angels that day will receive a limited edition Webkinz Oriole Bird stuffed toy. There it is right there. Gather up your family and spend your afternoon here at Oriole Park. Tickets start as low as $9. To get your tickets, 888-848-BURGER online at Orioles.com. Now that youngster would love to have one of those stuffed animals. They are very popular, by the way. The Webkinz series, and if you can get one that's your team's mascot, it's even better.
I'll take your word for it.
Here's Jacoby Ellsbury. Not into the mascots, huh?
No, I missed that one.
Hendrickson stays on. He's pitched well since coming into this game. 1 1/3 scoreless. Boston in the 5th inning against Hendrickson, the only time in this game they haven't scored. Pedroia on deck, then Martinez. You know, the other factor concerning the roster move for Tuesday might be how do they recover from a game like this where they're obviously going deeper and deeper into the bullpen. Because Clay Meredith is definitely available. Nikolai only pitched once last night. Jim Johnson hasn't pitched yet in the series. He was likely to get an inning today just to get an inning today. And I wonder who put that bubble on that hat in the Boston dugout. See, when it's a 14-7 game and you're in the lead.
Yeah, John Smoltz, the biggest and oldest prankster of them all, gets George Contreras with the bubble gum on the button.
And he still doesn't know.
Oh, no. And everybody's talking to him.
Left field, PA charging in, plays it on a hop. So there's a base hit for Ellsbury, his second. He's been on base 4 times in this game. Smoltz is really enjoying it. Look at that young guy. He has no idea. He's on television, has a bubble on his hat. Here's Pedroia. So Boston now has a new season high for hits in a game with 18 on that base hit. And they have had at least a hit in each inning in this game.
Josh Reddick's even getting into the spirit of things.
Hey, he's been here 3 days. He's settled in. That's why he took his hat off. He didn't want it to happen to him. 1-1 on Pedroia. Smoltz and Wakefield on this team. Wakefield's on the DL. They're old enough to be in old timers games.
Now Wakefield threw here the other day, and everything I heard about the way he threw was pretty positive. So they're hoping they'll get him back. So he was having an outstanding season, and he made his first All-Star team. 17 years and was recognized as an All-Star.
Huff giving chase, but he runs out of room. Well, today is Wakefield's 43rd birthday. Smoltz turned 42 on May 15th. So Smoltz is the oldest of the active players until Wakefield gets back. Here's a guy that knows how to win.
Well, I really appreciated his comments the other day after an outing here. He said, well, I'm really sick and tired of being close. He's all about winning. And he keeps getting encouragement from coaches and teammates.
Runner goes, foul back. So the Red Sox are not convinced the Orioles are done. 14-7 game. Ellsbury took off.
Well, it's just a perception of how you think this game is going. And Ellsbury, obviously, in the 6th inning. If it was the 8th inning, it might be a different story. And I'm not sure Terry Francona encourages him running right now, but there's nobody out. They have already given up a 6-run inning to the Orioles back in the 3rd.
Breaking ball's low, ball 3.
I mean, there was a time when you just got to a certain point, 7, 8, 9 runs ahead, you just kind of shut it off and say, okay, that's it. No more running. You would take the bases as the game dictated, but in this day and age, 6 and 7 run innings are common.
Ellsbury goes on the 3-2, and it's low, ball 4. So Hendrickson now getting into a jam, 2 on and none out. First walk allowed by Hendrickson, 6th walk in the game.
8 last night, 6 today. Just too many base runners allowed by the Orioles pitching staff.
Seven of the 9 hitters, or 7 of the 9 spots, I should say, in this lineup, multi-hit games, because the right field spot, Drew has one of the hits and Baldelli has the other. Drew had 1 at bat and drove in 3 runs with a double. Here's Martinez batting right-handed now against Hendrickson.
He just wants to make sure they have the signs right here, as Wieters has just come into the game as a defensive replacement. First time Hendrickson has had a runner at second base, so I want to make sure they're both on the same page as far as the signs, the set of signs they're using now.
Orioles have turned 1 double play in this game. Hendrickson would love to get a ground ball here, with Martinez at the plate running and batting from the right side. Over but low. Hendrickson came on to get the final out of the 4th, now working here in the 6th. Ball 2. Boston scored in each of its first 4 at-bats. In the 5th inning, did not score for the only time in this game, but did have a base runner. And now 2 base runners to begin the 6th. Ellsbury at second, Pedroia at first, and none down. Hard hit ball, base hit left field. Ellsbury will be held as PA plays it back in. A 4-hit game for Victor Martinez.
The Red Sox wanted to add a bat to their lineup, and they didn't hesitate. They pulled the trigger on a big deal to bring Victor Martinez here, and he's got 5 hits in the 2 games since he's been with the Red Sox. Drove in 3 today, had an RBI single yesterday and 5 trips.
And here is Kevin Youkilis, who has been up 4 times. He has been on base 4 times. Ellsbury, Pedroia, Martinez, third to first. Breaking ball, call the ball, 1-0. Three singles and a walk, an RBI, and 2 runs scored. Ball 2. How is David Ortiz 0 for 3?
He had a bases loaded walk, the only contribution he's made, but look at the rest of the lineup. 3 for 3 for Youkilis, 4 for 5 for Martinez, 3 for 4 for Lowell. Reddick with his first major league home run.
Ball 3. There's Clay Meredith getting loose in the bullpen. So Youkilis took the first 2 pitches that were close for balls, and that one not close for ball 3. And nowhere to put it. And ball 4. And that'll force in a run. Here comes Ellsbury to score, so the perfect day continues for Youkilis.
That's the second bases loaded walk of the afternoon issued by the Orioles. Ortiz had a bases loaded walk in the 2nd inning.
That was an unusual reaction by Youkilis there after that pitch. It was almost as if he thought it was a strike, and he hesitated before going to first base.
I just don't think he wanted to show anyone up. He just kind of paused and made sure it was ball 4 before he went to first. Nobody likes to be boat race like this. 8 runs down here, and we're still in the 6th inning.
So Hendrickson charged with a run, the first he has allowed since coming on, and he is still in a big bit of trouble here. Now a 15-7 lead for the Sox, and here is David Ortiz. Ball 1. Hendrickson looking in at Hunter Wendelstedt saying, where are these pitches?
Yeah, he wanted to know if that was down, and Wendelstedt raised his arms to the side as if to say, what do you want me to do? And take a look at this pitch. It's the last pitch with pitch tracks helping out. Looked like it was down, and Hendrickson felt like it could have been called a strike.
Bounce foul. So Hendrickson, 2 walks and 2 hits in this inning, 1 run in, 15-7 Boston. Orioles once again have the shift on. Slow ground ball towards second. And Dino will tag out, throw to first just in time. Well, they said Youkilis wasn't tagged. And now he's in a rundown. And now they get him. A run does score. They do get 2 outs. And Dino did not tag Youkilis at first. So that'll be a 4-3. So a disjointed double play, but they do get 2.
Yeah, right here, the shortstop Andino stops the base runner, swipes at Youkilis. He wasn't out of the base pass, so he is waved safe. Aubrey Huff alertly throws the ball to Brian Roberts, who initiates the rundown with Youkilis. Back to Andino. There's the tag out, and they check the runner at third base, make sure he's not trying to advance.
So 3-4-6. Youkilis is retired. Pedroia scored. Martinez ends up at third, and here's Baldelli, and it's 16-7 Boston. That was a tough play for Andino because with the shift on, He was too far away from second base to run to the bag and then get it to first, so he went the way that he felt would be the most efficient. Youkilis, with good base running, prolonged it. Curve is low, 1-1.
Yeah, what happened, that ball wasn't hit that sharply, so the only play Andino had, it took him away from second. He couldn't step on the bag, so he had to go after the base runner and got Youkilis to head back toward first base, and then they were able to throw to first and get the run down.
Ball missing inside. 2-1 the count. Baldelli took over for Drew. He's 1 for 3. Drew doubled to drive in 3 runs in the first inning and is only at bat. That one stays outside. 3-1. Long day for Dave Tremblay. $16 runs allowed by his pitching staff. Bouncer towards the hole. Andino backhands, plants and throws, and the inning ends. But Boston gets 2 more. Well, up to the bottom of the 6th at Camden Yards, and the Red Sox with a 16-7 lead.
Turned 8 double plays, 2 on Friday night, 1 initiated by John Smoltz. Then on Saturday, late in the game, 7th, 8th, and 9th, 3 double plays in that game. And then here again this afternoon, a double play in the first, a double play in the second, and a double play in the 5th. So every time the Orioles got something going, the Red Sox pitchers made good pitches. The infield took care of them. 8 double plays in this series.
16-7, Boston has the lead. Normally 7-run game, you'd be feeling pretty good about it. But the Red Sox have taken advantage of every opportunity that presented for them, as well as all the base hits. And here's Andino taking a strike. Andino getting a start at shortstop today. Cesar Estores a day off. Andino has walked and scored and struck out. 1-1 the count. Del Carmen took over for Buchholz in the 5th inning, so Buchholz goes 4 innings and cannot qualify for the win. Andino late on the swing, 1-2. Roberts on deck, then PA for the Orioles in the 6th inning. Fist of foul as he fights it off to stay alive. Tomorrow night in Detroit, there's Ramon Ramirez now getting loose for Boston. Chris Tillman makes his second major league start, and he gets the ace of that Tiger staff, Justin Verlander.
Well, Verlander having a terrific season. ERA at 3.16, 12-5 record. And you look at the rest of that rotation. Washburn, a newly acquired Tiger, Jared Washburn, the left-hander. He will pitch on Tuesday. Edwin Jackson, acquired this offseason, will pitch on Wednesday, and then Rick Porcello will pitch the afternoon game on Thursday.
2-2 on Andino, leading off in the Orioles' sixth. And he fouls it back.
To give you an idea how effective those starters have been, Verlander has a 3.16 ERA. Washburn a 2.64 ERA. He's tied with Edwin Jackson, also a 2.64. And the rookie Rick Porcello is 9-7 with a 4.36. Not going to be a picnic in Detroit.
Porcello was just drafted out of high school in 2007, and he's already in the rotation. He was in the same draft as Matt Wieters. Strike three called. Andino's down on strikes, one away in the sixth. How many pitches you think were thrown in this game so far coming into this inning?
Good ones?
Those also.
A lot.
264 pitches combined through the first 5.5 innings coming into the bottom of the sixth.
That's a ton.
Brian Roberts now, he's had a perfect day at the plate. Takes a strike.
Wow, there have been 23 runs and 28 hits in this game. And we mentioned that the Orioles have gotten 26 hits in this series.
Slow ground ball is short, fielded by Lowry. He'll get Roberts. And 2 down. The Orioles have not yet gone in order in this game with 2 outs here and nobody on. Well, you can join second baseman Brian Roberts at the ESPN Zone in the Harbor on Sunday, August 16th. It is Brian's Baseball Bash star-studded event. All benefits the University of Maryland Hospital for Children. Brian and several of his teammates will be there. They'll sign autographs, interact with fans, and help raise money for the patients and their family. For your tickets, the show support 410-328-6064 or visit ummsfoundation.org. And if you do go and you can help out, I can guarantee you'll enjoy the experience. PA getting a start in left field today, 1 out of 3. It looks to me that PA has found his niche on this team, because ever since he has become the 4th outfielder, the backup, with the emergence of Nolan Reimold, he's been a more effective player.
Yeah, he's swinging the bat with much more confidence. It's been a long, slow process with Terry Crowley trying to revamp his approach. We're going to swing at more strikes, lay off that high fastball, keep the ball from those high fly balls. And he's done a pretty good job, starting to show some signs of plate discipline and hitting the ball more sharply on the line.
Outside ball 3. Dave Tremblay mentioned before the game today that PA might get a start or two coming up sometime in the coming weeks in center field. The rest of the legs of Adam Jones. Whether Adam gets the full day off or DHs that day remains to be seen. And it's low ball 4, and there's a 2-out walk. So Adam Jones coming up, and he's had a big day at the plate. Capped in the 5th inning by his 18th long ball.
Yeah, he had got an inside pitch from Clint Buchholz and hammers it deep into the seats. His second hit of the day. He's driven in 3. He has also walked. And he collected his 18th double, his 20th double, and his 18th home run.
Adam today starting his 95th game in center field. PA has started the other 9 in center. Markakis has started all but 1 game in right field. And the day he did not start, Reimold moved over from left to right. There's a line drive and a base hit for Adam Jones. He has a 3-hit game. So the Orioles trying to get something going here with 2 men down. Adam Jones is just a triple shy of the cycle.
And you just keep grinding away, discount the score, take pride in your bats, and continue to battle. And he's been on base all 4 times today.
And here's Terry Francona again. Looks like we're getting a pitching change in the 6th inning. He was hoping to get through the 6th with Del Carmen, but the Orioles get a walk and a single after 2 men down. Del Carmen leaves. Ramirez coming on. The Orioles have 2 on and 2 out in the 6th. Well, you want to get away? That little boy was enjoying the game. At the moment seems to have lost interest. It's nap time at the ballpark. And here's Ramon Ramirez trying to get the final out in the 6th.
Ramirez came into the game on Friday. That was his last appearance. He came into work the 7th inning, pitched 1 inning, allowed a hit, and nothing more. Came in to pitch the bottom of the order.
PA and Jones on base. Good speed. Markakis trying to keep it going. Nick does not have a hit today. He's trying to extend his hitting streak to 5 straight. He does have an RBI on a ground out. Popped up near the Red Sox dugout, and that'll work its way back in the crowd. 0-1. Ramirez has a pretty good fastball. Some giddy up on that.
Yeah, fastball, breaking ball, and a changeup. And another one of these powerful arms out of that Red Sox bullpen. That's why they've been so dominant. When you come out late in the game and you get a little extra hop on your fastball, you're going to have some success.
3rd pitcher used in this game. Ball taken low, 1-1. Kind of amazing when you look at the scorecard, Buck. Boston has 16 runs on 19 hits, yet only 1 home run, the solo home run by Reddick. The Orioles have actually hit 2 home runs in this game and trail by 8 runs, by 9 runs.
Well, the one thing the Red Sox did early and often was they kept the pressure on the pitchers as they got on base. Leadoff walk to Ellsbury came around to score. They scored 4 in the 1st inning. And then in the 2nd again, 8 men to the plate. Terry Francona's team seemed like they had the bases loaded all day long. 2 bases loaded walks and some key hits.
2-1 on Markakis. Ball 3. So Nick can really look for a pitch here as PA and Jones take their leads. Ramirez wanted a new baseball. Nick has 13 RBIs, now 14 RBIs in the 16 games since the break. Fouled out of play to the left. The Orioles 4-11 since the break and trailing here. So this is the 16th game since the break, and with his RBI ground out, he now has 14 ribbies. Tremblay looking on from the Orioles bench. Runners will go on 3-2 with 2 down. Line deep to right field. Back it goes. That is off the scoreboard and in play. Pierre will score. Jones heading to the plate. He will score. And it's a 2-run double for Markakis. So the Orioles refuse to go away. And it's now 16-9 in favor of Boston.
That's why Terry Francona wasn't afraid of Ellsbury running in the 6th inning. Markakis got the full count, drills it off the scoreboard, just not high enough to go out of the ballpark. PA had a big walk with 2 outs. He scores, and then Jones had his 3rd hit. He scores his 3rd run of the day. And Nick continues that hit streak now, his first hit in 3 trips.
5 in a row now. Here's Aubrey Huff. Aubrey has found his stroke on this homestand. And it's high, 1-0. You know, I must say, for as many complaints about strikes in this game, it seems to me that Hunter Wendelstedt does have the same strike zone both ways.
Yep, he hasn't deviated as long as the day has been, and they're closing in on 300 pitches thrown.
There's the strike at the belt.
He hasn't expanded it at all.
Both teams have had complaints all day. Greg Zong was the most vocal, and he was ejected as he was called out on strikes and felt the pitch was low. 1-1 on Huff with Markakis at second and 2 down. Good eye, takes low, ball 2. So the Orioles now have 9 runs on 11 hits. Those 2 runs charged to Del Carmen. So right now Ramirez is the only pitcher in this game that has not yet allowed a run that's charged to him. Buchholz 7, Del Carmen 2 for Boston. Birkin 6, Bass 4, Albers 4, Hendrickson 2 for the Orioles.
Rough day for the pitchers.
There are some ERAs that are going to take a pounding as a result of this game. Markakis at second with 2 down. And Huff's down on strikes. So that will end the inning as Aubrey Huff goes down, but the Orioles get 2 back. We'll head to the 7th. Boston leads at 16-9. run plus a walk and 3 RBIs for the Orioles. Text in your vote now and have your voice heard, A, B, or C, to 51862. 16 runs on 19 hits for Boston, 9 runs on 11 hits for the Orioles. One error that did not factor in any run scoring. And here is Clay Meredith, the 5th pitcher used by the Orioles in this game.
Second appearance for Meredith in this series. He had a 1-2-3 ninth inning on Friday night. Came in and got Josh Reddick, first batter he faced in Reddick's major league debut.
Mike Lowell will lead off, Reddick and Lowry to follow. Lowell is a unique batter in this Red Sox lineup today, Buck. He is the only Boston batter to have struck out in this game. Ryan Bass struck him out to end the 2nd inning.
And other than that, he has 3 hits, 3 RBIs, scored a run. A little bit of everything. So he'll take that 1 strikeout. Got 53 RBI now.
Hard hit ball towards the hole, but there's Wigginton 2 steps to his left. He'll get it to first and 1 down, so Meredith gets the ground ball out. Meredith getting used to his surroundings. His first homestand as an Oriole. He was acquired while the Orioles were on their last road trip, and that was the 3-city road trip through Chicago, New York, and Boston, and he was acquired during the game, the final game in Chicago. I saw Oscar Salazar had a big hit last night for San Diego, so Oscar's playing well, and Meredith now here with the Orioles has been perfect. And you would expect, as the Orioles get accustomed to his repertoire, that his role might expand. This certainly is a bullpen in progress. Pop to left, PA in on it, and 2 men down now that George Sherrill is with the Dodgers. Jim Johnson will be given the closer's role.
You would expect that Jim Johnson might get an inning of work here. He has not thrown in this series and has not pitched since Wednesday.
Here's Jed Lowry. Meredith is an out away from recording the first 3-up, 3-down inning in this game by either side. Lowry, the number 9 batter, has also contributed. And a called strike 3. That breaking ball hit the outside corner, so there it is. A 3-up, 3-down inning for Clay Meredith, and Boston for the first time today is retired in order. All right. And today's 7th inning stretch has been brought to you by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey. Please drink responsibly. And welcome back into our Masson broadcast booth. Jim Hunter with Buck Martinez. And really a frustrating day for the Orioles, trying to get a win to close out this homestand. And right from the get-go, the Red Sox had the bats going. And just one of those days where just difficult to slow down the opponent.
Well, it sure is. It's going to be that way for the next 2 months because you're going to face teams that are fighting to get into the postseason. Boston, New York, Toronto, Tampa Bay. Toronto still has Roy Halladay. They're always going to be a challenge. So when you play in the East, you've got to pitch well. And today, Jason Birkin couldn't get out of the second inning, an inning in the third, and it really got off on the wrong foot when he walked the leadoff batter, Jacoby Ellsbury. This Boston Red Sox lineup is really tight now. Switch hitter in the number 3 spot, Victor Martinez. It's really been an improved ball club.
Well, a couple of defensive changes as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Youkilis moves from first to third. Lowell is out of the game, and here's Casey Kochman making his Boston debut, getting in at first base. Very good defensive first baseman is Casey Kochman as Wigginton takes low, and it's 1-2. Well, the Orioles, you scored 9 runs and bang out 11 base hits. You're going to feel pretty good about it. It's been just a frustrating day all around because not only have the Orioles not pitched, they haven't been able to take advantage of their hitting.
Now, certainly that 7-run 4th inning after they scored 6 in the bottom of the 3rd on Ty Wigginton's home run to make it a 1-run game. Wigginton hit that 2-run home run in the 3rd inning, and you say, okay, well, now we're a run down, but Boston stormed right back with 7 of their own in the top of the 4th.
Here's a bouncer to Pedroia and gets it the first for the first out. And you know, we expected growing pains during the year. This is a team in transition, there's no doubt about it. But what the Orioles are looking for is some of these younger players and the younger pitchers to step up and be competitive and take it to the opponent.
Yeah, it's going to have to change. Obviously, that's the one thing Andy McPhail and Dave Tremblay have said all year long. We want to be better the second half of the season than we have been the past several years. Starters are going to have to do a better job of getting off to a good start, and the hitters are going to have to get some timely hits. Continues this theme throughout this series is they haven't been able to hit with runners in scoring position. So you kind of say, okay, well, we got to stop the other team from scoring, and we got to start coming up with some big hits.
Here's Luke Scott, who skies it foul the other way. Yeah, and the part of that is you look for improvement, and if the Orioles can't come back in this game, they'll be 4-12 since the All-Star break, and now they're embarking on a 7-game road trip following the game.
Yeah, and we talked about the challenge for Dave Tremblay's team when you go into Detroit and face that great pitching staff, and the Tigers, of course, are fighting for that Central Division title, anxious to get back to the postseason. And then you go to Toronto with the prospects of facing a pretty good hitting ball club in the Blue Jays, who have probably gotten a lot of momentum because they still have their ace Roy Halladay, who wasn't traded on Friday at the trade deadline.
Luke Scott swings through it 2-2, and I guess the question is for all of the experiences that we're going to see as these younger players go through with the rest of this year is how does it affect them and what do they take out of it?
Well, yeah, and we won't know that till the end of the season. Do you see how they react and how they perform from this point forward? Because they're going to go into Yankee Stadium again. They're going to go back to Fenway Park again. And you're going to go down and play Tampa Bay. So those are all 3 tough spots for them, but it depends on how they handle it and how they make the adjustments. And, you know, like I said, you're not going to know till they go through it again and see if they're overwhelmed, intimidated. They get that wide-eyed look when they play on a big stage. But from my point of view, I think all these kids will handle it just fine, and you're going to continue to see progress from the youngsters.
And the benefit of that is that they are gaining that valuable experience now. So looking ahead to the future, they'll have an idea about what worked, what didn't work, what they need to work on, what they need to improve on.
Well, there's a couple of things and a couple of different ways to look at it. Experience is fine, but you don't want to experience losing. You want to start winning some games. You want to turn around the mindset of this team. David Hernandez and the rest of the pitching staff want to make sure that they start to win some games so they can build some momentum so you can take it into next spring training.
Luke Scott bounces one towards the middle, and it squirts on through for a base hit. So a seeing eye single for Luke Scott. He's on with 1 man down, and the pitchers will have a direct effect in what you're talking about, and it's up to them as they're learning, not only that, but solidifying their spot in this rotation.
Yeah, it sure is, and I think the difference now is if you have most of these pitchers up here and they have at least a half a season under their belt, when they go to spring training next year, they won't be trying to impress the coaching staff. They'll be trying to improve, and I think that's a step in the right direction.
Well, the Orioles in this game trailing have a man on with 1 man down. And here is Matt Wieters for another at-bat. Wieters took over for Greg Zaun, who was ejected, and Wieters pops it up down the line towards foul ground. Long run over, and running out of room is Reddick.
So when you go into camp with nobody really knowing who you are or how you're going to react to big league pitching, everybody's looking at you as a hitter. They're saying, well, he's trying to impress the staff, trying to have good at-bats. But now with Wieters having a half season at least under his belt, he will go into camp next year just trying to improve on his deficiencies, and that's a step in the right direction.
So 0-1 on Wieters with Luke Scott on. Another pop-up to left field. This one playable for Reddick. Towards the corner he goes. He has it for the out and 2 men down. So Scott will get back to first base. And Wieters is 0 for 2. There's Saito getting loose in the Boston bullpen. And here's Robert Andino, who struck out twice. He did walk and score back in the 3rd inning. We had a little shower there as the teams went from the top of the 7th to the bottom of the 7th inning, but it already has stopped raining. And the grounds crew is not concerned because they're still out there in their shed watching the game.
Well, they're so tired from dragging that tarp around, they don't want to see it anymore. They have done a yeoman's job of keeping this field in great condition throughout this homestand. They've had to deploy the tarp several times, including right at the start of the game 2 nights ago. So, yeah, it's been a real challenge for them, but they have done a great job.
And I thought that was very nice of you when we were on the elevator with several of them to ask them, hey, guys, how many times you do that this weekend? As if anyone was counting, right?
Yeah, they do a great job, and the entire.
There's Nicole Sherry, the head groundskeeper here.
Yep, she really keeps.
Hi, Nicole. How you doing?
Keeps this field in great shape.
She has a tinted glass window on her office. Andino towards right field, and on a Baldelli, he'll have to play it on a hop. So Andino has a base hit. The Orioles have 2 on with 2 down in the 7th. So the only spot in this lineup that does not have a hit for the Orioles is the number 8 spot. Zahn was 0 for 2 before being ejected, and Wieters is 0 for 2 since taking over. And the Orioles now turn the lineup over again as Brian Roberts for his 5th at bat. Brian, 2 singles, a walk, his 35th multi-hit game. He's now hitting 6 straight games. And swings through it 0-1. Brian has 9 hits during the 6-game hitting streak. So Roberts and Jones each now have 117 hits. Markakis leads the Orioles with 124. Scott at second, Andino at first with 2 men down. Orioles still trail by 7 runs. Line drive, that's a base hit down the line. It just stayed fair. Scott will score, Andino will be held, and Roberts has an RBI double. So the Orioles are not going away. It's now 16-10. Roberts has a 3-hit game.
Well, this is all about the hitters today as Brian Roberts delivers the double. Casey Kochman had come in to play defense at first, and he can't flag it down. It's beyond his reach, down into the right field corner. Luke Scott comes in from second to score. Andino was speeding around third base, but got the stop sign. Roberts ends up with his first double of the day, 37th on the season.
The way this game is going, you expect to see Papelbon. You would have never thought that the closer would factor into this kind of a game. There's Saito getting loose. And there's a foul down at the plate that spins in the fair territory.
I don't think the Red Sox expect any let up, and you can see it looked like Gary Puck, the bullpen coach, was telling Saito that he had the next batter, Adam Jones.
Here trying to keep the inning going. Takes high, 1-1. He had an infield hit, Buck in the third. He walked in the sixth. Each time he's been on, he scored.
Yeah, and that was a big 2-out walk in the sixth.
Can't reach that pitch, and it's 1-2.
Well, you'd love to have Adam Jones come to the plate with a couple more on.
Orioles have 10 runs on 14 hits, trailing now by 6. Ground ball towards second. Pedroia to his left has it. And he gets it to first to get PA in the inning end. So the Orioles get a run. Strand 2 will head to the 8th. The Red Sox in a slugfest.
Madison HD, 1 o'clock start. Then Toronto Friday night. Madison 2 at 7 p.m. We'll take on the Blue Jays in that 3-game set to wrap up the 7-day road trip. Pitching matchup for tomorrow night's game. Chris Tillman makes his second major league start against Justin Verlander. So it'll be a pitching matchup of a very talented youngster and a very talented experienced pitcher that has bounced back dramatically. You look at the Tigers pitching staff, especially the starters, they have really led the way for the Tigers, who have a 1.5-game lead over the White Sox at the start of play today.
Ellsbury bounces it to first. Bad Huff to Huff, but he gloves and gets it to Meredith. Nicely done by Huff on a bad bounce, 1 away.
Aubrey Huff's had a pretty good series with the glove. Watch this hop off to the side, and it sticks in his glove, and he's able to rebound, bounce, make a good throw to Meredith. Clay Meredith's retired all 4 batters he's faced.
It's a second ground ball. Wigginton and Andino came over to grab the rosin bag. Mentioned that brief shower, so some moisture out there in the field. There's Pedroia, and he takes a strike. Line over the glove of Roberts into right center field. Well, Pedroia has another hit, his third. This is the 11th time this year, Buck, the Orioles have scored at least 10 runs in a game. And they are 10-0, with the outcome of this one still to be determined. But they trail by 6 in the 8th inning.
Dave Tremblay had asked about getting big hits with 2 outs. They did that in that 6-run 3rd inning. Both Aubrey Huff and Ty Wigginton delivered with 2 outs. But then the Red Sox answered with a 7-run 4th inning. Majority of the damage coming against Matt Albers after he relieved Brian Bass.
There's a bounce at first. That one got under the glove of Huff and down the line. Pedroia heads to third. DeMarlo Hale's going to send him. That ball's deep in the corner. Markakis back to Roberts. No play at the plate. An RBI double for Victor Martinez and a 5-hit game for the new Boston Red Sox player.
4 RBIs. Pedroia scores from first base after he singled into right field, and this time Aubrey Huff can't make the play off to the side. Waves at it, ball stays down this time, and Pedroia, keeping his eye on DeMarlo Hale, gets the go-ahead and looks for the throw at the plate, and he scores standing up.
What a debut this weekend for Martinez. He started last night, his first day with the club, and went 1 for 5 with an RBI base hit. And today he's 5 for 6. Still only 1 down, so it's 17-10. And Youkilis takes a strike.
So there hasn't been a pitcher in this ball game that's had a clean slate.
Youkilis perfect on the day. And look at those numbers in the series. 10 for 11. Can't reach that slow breaking ball. And Clay Meredith, the base hit to Pedroia, and that ball by Martinez got past Aubrey Huff. One of those bouncers. The first one he was able to glove, but the second one got under his glove and went down the line. He went too far. Waved at that breaking ball. So second strikeout for Meredith and 2 away.
That's only the second out that Youkilis has made in the entire series. He's been on everything, and Clay Meredith fooled him badly on a sweeping breaking ball. Watch this ball break off the plate outside, and it gets Youkilis.
David Ortiz now. Ortiz is the only hitter in this game today for Boston that does not have a base hit. He does have an RBI walk with the bases loaded. That was in the second inning. (17-10) game, 8th inning. Check the swing and time on that one, 1-2.
And even Rocco Baldelli, who came in as a defensive replacement in the bottom of the first inning, he picked up a hit in 4 trips.
And fouled off the shin guard, it looked like, of Wieters. Just did get a piece to stay alive. So Meredith charged with the first run since coming to the Orioles with that RBI double by Martinez. Orioles again have the shift on against Ortiz as once again the sun has popped through. There's Roberts in shallow right field. And Dino, the shortstop, is on the second base side. Two is hit slowly towards first. Aubrey Huff charges, and he'll step on the bag to get Ortiz. Inning ends, but the Sox get another run on 2 hits. Bottom of the 8th coming up. The Birds down by 7.
down the right field line to score 2, the first 2 runs of the day. Then in his next at bat, leading off the 5th inning, he goes deep against Clay Buchholz. That's home run number 18, and finally the cap for a base hit up the middle. He has driven in 3, scored 3, 3 for 3 with a walk for Adam Jones, and he continues to be a torrid hitter in the daytime.
And Jones will lead off here in the 8th against the new pitcher. Takashi Saito comes on for Boston, the 4th pitcher used by Terry Francona today. And it has been a tough day for the ERAs, as Buck pointed out. 5 Oriole pitchers, each have been charged with at least a run. 3 Boston pitchers have all been charged with at least a run.
And Victor Martinez out to talk to Saito about the signs right now. This is the first time Martinez has caught this pitching staff. He played first base in his debut here last night, so there's some adjustments to be made. They have really kind of had a rough day themselves, and you can bet that he's going to sit and talk with Jason Varitek, probably sit down with Gary Tuck, the bullpen coach, go over some things about their pitching staff and how to get the most out of them. Terry Francona has said all along that Varitek will catch the big guys, and by the big guys, obviously Josh Beckett, John Lester. He will keep them right where they are in comfort level, throwing to the captain, Jason Varitek.
Jones, Markakis, and Huff for the Orioles in the 8th, down by 7. So right now, the difference in the game, if you will, is the 7-run 4th inning for Boston after the Orioles got back in it with a 6-run bottom of the 3rd. Strike 1 to Jones. A triple shy of the cycle. Bouncer towards the middle. Pedroia to his right. And gets it to first as Jones hustles down the line, 1 away. You look in from center field here at Oriole Park. Nick Markakis to the plate. Nick extended his hitting streak to 5 straight with a 2-run double his last at bat. So Nick has a 3 RBI game. That's ball 1. Saito has not allowed a run over his last 5 outings. Sharply at the short. Lowry is there. Gets it to Kochman and 2 men down. And as we thought we would see Jim Johnson today, he has not pitched since the trade of George Sherrill. He's getting loose to pitch the 9th. He needs an inning.
Yeah, you got to knock the rust off a little bit and get him out there and throw, and hope that he gets 3 opportunities to close in the 4-game series in Detroit.
Aubrey Huff, center field, hit pretty deep. Ellsbury back on it, and he has it for the out. The Orioles go 3 up and 3 down. Well, after the 9th at Camden Yards, Boston 17, the Orioles 10. accustomed to pitching the final 3 outs of the game instead of the 3 outs leading up to the 9th inning. 42 games on the year, 3-4. His ERA at 3.17. And the big adjustment, of course, for Jim Johnson is how do you handle being at the end of the game as opposed to being the setup man?
As a starter, you know, if you have a bad outing, you got to sit on that for 4 days. But as a reliever, you have the chance to play every single day. So the turnaround's a lot quicker, but you got to be able to wash it out of your memory if you have a bad one, and you know, keep things going good when they are going good, and not trying to overdo things.
So there's your answer, Jim Johnson. And there's the first swing by Baldelli, greeting Jim Johnson, and he hits it out. 18-10.
Still, every pitcher in this game so far has given up something except Saito. Rocco Baldelli jumps on the first pitch he sees from Jim Johnson, a high fastball, and that has been a trend that Jim would love to reverse, the home run, and the fact that he has thrown some pitches up in the zone.
5th home run for Baldelli. Here's Kochman for his first at-bat. Looks it over for Mike Lowell. Lowell left the game, and Youkilis moved to 3rd, and Kochman the 1st. So he's making his Red Sox debut today. Rocco Baldelli has really found a home with the Red Sox as a backup outfielder. Off the end of the bat towards shortstop. There's Andino. 1 down in the 9th inning.
You heard that soundbite from Jim Johnson talking about the difference between starting and relieving, and he started his career, actually made his first major league appearance in an Oriole uniform as a starter, and then made the transition. He'd been a starter throughout his minor league career, and then they just thought he was best suited to work out of the bullpen, and now he's going to have an opportunity to be the closer.
Pitch inside to Josh Reddick. 2-0. 22-year-old rookie, his first weekend in the big leagues. Center field, that ball's hit deep. Jones back on it. Still going back, has a play. And hauls it in for the out, 2 men down.
Josh Reddick isn't a Punch and Judy by any means. Well, he attacks that baseball no matter where it's pitched. Hit his first major league home run here in the 3rd inning. The opposite field home run.
So here is Jed Lowry, the number 9 batter. First ball swinging, fouls it back. Looks like they're all going up there expecting a fastball, and they're jumping. Inside, 1-1. Tremblay and Rick Kranitz looking on. That one's lined to right field. That'll fall in front of Markakis for a 2-out single for Lowry. Rick Kranitz believed that Johnson has the makeup to succeed in this role. Without a doubt, it's going to take Jim an adjustment period, because even though he does have 2 saves this year, it's a little different when it's your job.
Yeah, I think he's got the right mindset. He suggests that it's only 3 outs, and it's 3 outs no matter where you get them. And there are people that have been able to make the transition very smoothly. Mariano Rivera is the best example. He was John Wetton's setup guy, and then he moved into the closer room, probably played his way into the Hall of Fame. But there have been others that have tried it and failed miserably.
Line to center field, and well, Jones going way back and makes the catch. He takes an extra base hit away from Jacoby Ellsbury. Adam Jones running it down for the final out in the top of the 9th. Tom, thanks very much. Tom and Rick getting set for O's Extra Post game coming up, and they'll have a lot to dissect in this game.
Well, I tell you what, they sure will. You talk about the day where Ty Wigginton's hit a home run, and the hitters have certainly been the theme of this game. Saito, a 1-2-3 eighth inning, on to finish up the ninth here.
Wigginton, Scott, and Wieters. There's ball one. Ty's had a good game. Multi-hit game. He's 2 out of 4, 2-run home run and a single. Checked in time, inside ball 2.
Yeah, the one at bat he'd love to have back came in the 5th inning with 2 on and no outs, and he battled and battled and battled against Del Carmen, and then finally hit into a 4-6-3 double play.
Foul back below us. Buchholz went 4 innings, allowed 7 earned runs. Del Carmen an inning and 2/3, 2 earned runs. Ramirez an inning and a third, 1 earned run. Saito had a 3-up, 3-down 8th. And all 6 of the Oriole pitchers have allowed runs. Wigginton can't reach that one. 2-2. Saito had a successful career in Japan before he joined the Dodgers, and he signed with the Red Sox this offseason as a free agent. Boston adding some experience depth to the bullpen. Line drive, there's a base hit up the middle. So a leadoff single for Wigginton, his 3rd base hit. Orioles baseball on MASN brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your next trip at southwest.com. And by Corona and Corona Light, official sponsors of the timeout. Relax responsibly.
Now, as much as you can talk about the promise of the Orioles pitching staff, they're going to have to pitch better in the last 2 months of this season. 28 runs and 47 hits in the 3-game series to the Boston Red Sox. And you're just not going to be in too many games when you give up that many hits and factor in the walks on top of that.
There's 7 more walks today to go with the 23 base hits for Boston. The Orioles have 10 runs on 15 hits and trail in this game by 8. Rich Scott a single his last at bat, so he now has a 4-game hitting streak working, 1 hit in each of those 4 games. There's a bouncer towards second. Pedroia gets a tough hop, goes to second, 1, no throw back to first. So Pedroia gets the lead runner and 1 away. Let's get an update on the voting for the AT&T Player of the Game, and Adam Jones getting that hometown vote. Runaway so far, 94%. Still time for you to text in your vote and have your voice heard. A, B, or C to 51862. And Tom and Rick will have the results coming up on O's Extra Post Game. Now 1 down, and here's Matt Wieters, who is 0 for 2 since taking over for Greg Zahn, who was ejected following his at-bat in the 4th inning. Good swing, and he fouled it back. Wieters' 9-game hitting streak is on the line here. So Scott is on the fielder's choice. He is 1 for 4 with a walk. Luke hasn't had a multi-hit game since July the 10th. Another good cut, foul back, 0-2 on Wieters.
Yeah, Matt just a little bit late on the ball. The ball's kind of back over the plate. He can't really get it out in front against Saito. But he has got a strike left to try to extend his personal hitting streak.
0-2 on Wieters with Scott on at first, not being held. Center field. Ellsbury back on it. Now has it in the sights and hauls it in for the out and 2 men down.
Boy, Ellsbury got a good jump on that ball. He turned in one direction and then turned around to find it again and made an easy catch of it.
Well, the Orioles down to their final out. Saito trying to become the only pitcher in this game not to allow a run. He is an out away from doing that. And Dino, 1 out of 3. He's also walked and scored. Saito stepped off. That is a fair ball, and tagged out is Andino. And how's that for an ending? A little tapper in front of the plate. Andino thought it was a foul ball. Dave Tremblay's out for an explanation. And Hunter Wendelstedt is saying that it's spun fair. How about that for an ending in this game? Wendelstedt walks away from Dave Tremblay. Now he comes back. Jeff Kellogg, the crew chief, is going to come in.